The NASCAR Beginner for Series powered by iRacing is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a three-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring and, of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live. Tonight on Race Spot TV and iRacing Live, the short track mentality is going to have to remain front and center as we head to the shortest track on the 2017 campaign. And not only that, but after tonight, we're going to be halfway through the regular season as we slowly start to narrow down on who those 8 chase drivers might be another 6 weeks from tonight. However, coming up next is the 6th race of the 2017 NASCAR Beginner for Series powered by iRacing from Richmond. First, though, let's take a look back 2 weeks ago, back to round number 5 with this week's iRacing race recap. Pace car down and away, and Matt Busa off and away. American Ethanol green flag, and we are green for the 5th race of the season from Phoenix International Raceway. No immediate challenge for the race lead. It's Matt Busa for the first time down the back as Ryan Luza, 2-time winner so far in 2017, takes away P2 from Ott. Caution flag will fly, though, and that's going to completely change the name of the game at lap 58. Pace car off and away we go. Regreen from Phoenix, and he'll one good jump at the inside. He'll beat Gilliland to quarter 1. Here comes Michael Conti, the real big winner, powering up the inside based on his strategy with looking for the lead.
Conti goes to the extreme inside. He'll look at Richardson on the inside, down into corner number 3. Conti trying to take the lead back behind. Look at Ray Alfalla. Alfalla coming through the pack. It's almost 3 wide as those guys tiptoe through corner number 4 up in front. Conti going to take the lead back at the stripe. Alfalla to 3rd. Gilliland on the outside as he tries to hold off Novak, Humpy, Johnson, and the rest.
Humpy and Busa didn't pit the last time around. We'll see what Michael Conti does from P1, and he will do it. I don't think getting short pitted by a lap or 2 is going to erase 5 seconds, but he really couldn't afford to stay out much longer. Here comes Humpy from 2nd, Busa from 3rd. Zach Novak decides not to pit, and he'll stay out and go to the race lead, and caution flag is out, playing right into Dylan Duvall's strategy. Chris Overland going to take off underneath the flag stand. Green flag flies are back underway. Everybody's stacking it up, but the inside behind Clampett. Don't be surprised how much they fan out to the dog leg.
Look at that outside line work for Fayash. He'll take second for the time being. Clampett trying to take it away from him behind. Alfala, Duval side by side. Zielinski in this mess as well. But look at the 77 on the outside trying to take it away from Chris Overland. He's got a spot outside. They'll drag race down to the line. Overland will lead this one. But on the outside, Andrew Fayash had a run down into corner number 1. Can he hold it out at 2?
The 77's definitely got a little bit of a better car than maybe the 42. Contact that comment at 2. Caution, flag will fly. Problems behind coming out of the corner. Right foot down, green flag flies, but a good restart for both Clampett and Overland behind him.
Bobby Zielinski, he's your front runner who had actually taken tires, and he only had taken 2. So he's got 2 tires that are 22 laps old. Everyone else running about 30 lap old tires. So we actually have a yellow out on the track. Not quite sure whereabouts that is. It's Joe Letterello, the number 33 car.
With the 33 of Joe Letterello running in 17th position, and he squeezed the 39 up just a little bit too much. Michael J. Johnson was very much there. Now, you have to wonder, is Zielinski basically in the catbird seat? Because obviously you want to start up front, Tim, but if Fayash and Alfala battle for just a little bit, I feel like Zielinski should be able to pull on both of them. Green flag in the air, 5 laps to go from PIR, and he's going to get turned for P2. Fayash into the wall, and caution flag is right back out. Big jump for Bobby Zielinski. He is not going to complain at all. The number 83 Ford going to cover to quarter number 4. 4th race of 5 this season that a rookie gets the win. It is the first on his career. Bobby Zielinski, your winner from Phoenix International Raceway. The road to $10,000 runs through the Commonwealth of Virginia for tonight's 6th race on a 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing on Race Spot TV, where we are happy to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Richmond 200. Halfway home in a regular season in its 2017 campaign, and we're happy that you're hanging out with us tonight, whether it be on iRacing Live, the Motor Racing Network, Facebook Live, either way. Happy you're joining us tonight from Richmond. Evan Pasoko topside with you alongside Cam Walsh and Tim Terry. Downstairs is Hugo Louise. And guys, we come into kind of our second back-to-back road course, or short track rather, of the season, but this is the shortest it's going to get at a 3/4 of a mile in length, and it's going to be a fun one. You just took a look at the highlights from Phoenix, Cam. That one was wild. Tonight could be just as crazy as we go at it for 150 miles.
Yeah, I love the absolute short track atmosphere that is always accommodated with this. We always seem to have good, clean racing at these short tracks. Phoenix, well, the season previous, it was clean. The last race, not so much. We did have quite a couple of cautions, and I still hurt for what happened to Andrew Fayash at the end of that race, getting spun out from that second position. But overall, though, we'll see just how they land here at Richmond International. We're going to knock off a quarter mile and see how they do here. Turn about 19, almost 20-second laps, and we'll see what this very large 43-car field can do around this very, very short circuit.
And Tim, Richmond, unlike most of the cookie-cutter 1.5-miler racetracks, is very much a niche racetrack. At some of these other places, everybody can run good in Charlotte, where we'll be in 2 weeks' time, but not everybody necessarily a fan at Richmond. You're either good here or you're not very good. The last 4 races have seen 2 different winners. Nick Ottinger took 2013 and 14, and Kenny Humpy took 2015 and 2016, so those are definitely guys we're going to be keeping an eye on.
And they'll both be starting within the top 10. And we've seen races here at Richmond that have gone 200 laps caution-free. We've seen some races with a couple of cautions as well. Ottinger, you mentioned him. He's going to start P1. Corey Vincent's going to start in position number 3. This is a Corey Vincent type racetrack. Watch for him. And that point battle, Ryan Luza outside the top 10, Logan Clampett inside the top 10, Bobby Zielinski coming off a win. It's going to be a tight points battle. This could shake it up at Richmond.
As we noted with Phoenix, Bobby Zielinski getting the win. Now 4 of the 5 races so far have been won by rookies. Derek Bordeaux in Daytona, Ryan Luz of Vegas and Fontana, and Zielinski most recently 2 weeks ago in Avondale, Arizona. Only Alan Bowes, the driver who has competed in 2016 or prior, that has won so far this season. And the updated points have Ryan Luz at the top of the championship standings into tonight. Zielinski, Clampett, Alfala, Bordeaux, Richardson, Novak, and Overland through 5 races are your top 8 and into the chase grid. Qualifying and the warm-up sessions have already drawn to a close. With that being said, let's head trackside. Take a look how we'll rack 'em and stack 'em for the 6th race on the season. Take a look at your Race Spot TV starting grid. Nick Ottinger, name we were just talking about, well, he's going to go for Richmond win number 3, pole with the 19.796. It will be joined on the front row by the number 44 of Logan Clampett. Looking to get that machine its first win on 2017. Corey Vincent, good in the warm-up session and good in qualifying. He'll start from 3rd alongside with him. Ryan Lowe rolls from 4th. They make up row number 2. The best driver, though, earlier today in the warm-up, Ray Alfala, qualifies P5.
Yeah. And in position 6, Marcus Richardson. He is a rookie in that 01 in this series. One of those pro drivers. We'll see what he can do. Perhaps he could get his first victory here, much as Tony Stewart and Casey King got their first large series victories. We'll see if Marcus Richardson can do well from 6th. Zach Novak going to be starting in the row behind in 7th as the cars are rolling away. 2 pace laps. Jimmy Mullis will be starting in 8th. Kenny Humpy, he's going to start in 9th. And Brad Davies will finish out your top 10.
Chris Shearburn will look to rebound from Phoenix. He starts in position number 11. Michael J. Johnson in 12th. Ryan Luza in 13th. Matt Busa 14th. And Alan Bowes in 15th.
Bobby Zielinski will start tonight 16th position. David Rattler in 17th. Taylor Hurst 18th. Christian Challoner in 19th. And Andrew Fayash P20.
Cody Biles 21st, Trey Edson 22nd, Casey Tucker 23rd, Philip Diaz 24th, and Mitchell Hunt rounds out your 25th.
We got Adam Gilliland, Derek Bordeaux, Michael Conti, Joe Letteriello, and Will Cooley, your next 5 to 30th.
And then to round out the field from here on back, 31st, Chandler Krizik with Brian Schoenberg, Brandon Schmidt, Brian Blackford, and Olin Scott inside at the top 35. Through 40th position, Byron Daly, Timmy Hill, Josh Berry, Nicholas Johnson, and Tyler Hill. Those are all the times to be taken in qualifying 3 provisionals. Going to go to P41, Dylan Duval, P42, Jake Sturgis, and to P43, Chris Overland. That's a look top to bottom at your Race Spot TV starting grid. We talk about this Richmond International Raceway, 14 degrees of banking in the corners. This racetrack comes in at 3/4 of a mile in distance. It is the shortest track on this 2017 campaign. 200 laps on tap tonight, going to be 150 miles. In between the drop of the American ethanol green flag and when the checkered flag comes out. With that being said, we're so happy that you're with us tonight on Race Spot TV and iRacing Live. The pace car off and away, and it Ottinger off and away as well. Green flag in the air, and we are off from Richmond. Battle to turn 1. For the first time, race leader going to be able to get things spread out as we battle side by side for second. Logan Clampett, Corey Vincent do battle on the opening lap of this race. This opening portion of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Peak Antifreeze and Coolant, the official antifreeze of NASCAR and a proud sponsor of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.
Yeah, everyone getting away very cleanly as they are laying right now, though. A lot of cars moving up and down as it looks like Logan Clampett chasing to the inside of Corey Vincent for position number 2, but that's actually going to cost him on the outside. Ray Alfala is going to try to make the position. Cars seem to be jostling and trying to move up and down this Richmond International Raceway, trying to find exactly which line they can get. Right now, weather, it's about 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 84 on the track, so it's fairly average, I would have to say. Not too hot, not too cold. These cars are going to be having a fairly decent day. We'll see what the heat can do when these cars start warming up the track, but right now it's still Logan Clampett, Ray Alfala side by side. Everyone else seems to be running fairly cleanly right now.
And more times than not, if you ever drive on this track on a service, if it's hosted, if it's official action, normally sun's down, the lights are on. Not the case, though, in this NASCAR PK for Series. All these races taking place in the daytime. It is a dusk field. The sun is low and kind of a sunset kind of atmosphere to it, but it is still a day race, so temperatures are up. Track's got a little bit less grip in it. It is going to be something to watch as this race goes on. You see that battle for third now continues on. The two of Ray Alfalla outside of the racetrack not giving things up on Clamp, but you think the inside would be the place to be early, but the two pinching him down and masterfully working the outside of the racetrack will have the advantage at the stripe. Not quite enough, though, to clear him. 2 by 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, Alfalla able to roll the top on the outside line. It looks like he'll clear the 44 out of corner number 2 to take that position. So Logan Clampett will now have to fend off Zach Novak on the outside, and Jimmy Mullis is there as well in car number 40 as they battle for what is now position number 4. Your top two have broken away a little bit. Corey Vincent trying to track down Nick Ottinger. Been trying to make some time up these last couple laps. I think Corey Vincent has something for these boys tonight as Novak continues to be on the outside of the 44 of Clampett. And Evan, it looks like the outside, at least in the early run, the first 7 laps, outside might be able to work.
Yeah, you would think that maybe Logan Clampett, who started second, would be falling back because he got stuck up on the outside. That's where he started, but he lost a position to Vincent, Alfalla, and Novak by being on the inside of the racetrack. So he jumped up top, opened up the inside for Jimmy Mullis to go down, so the 40 is now occupying the inside of the racetrack, and if Mullis is able to get past the 44, it'll just prove that it's not a very good start of the race for Clampett, but it does look like now that he's on the outside of the racetrack, he actually has an upper hand in this battle. Almost pulled it clear the last time, and he'll get it this time, but at turn number 2, Clampett stops the bleeding P5.
Yeah, and right now looking at the battle for the lead after 9 laps going on to lap 10, Corey Vincent is just sneaking right behind in that number 10 Chevrolet as he's trying to hunt down Nick Ottinger's Toyota. And they managed to make quite a bit of a gap between themselves and Ray Alfalla and Zach Novak, but it seems that everybody's slowly trickling into single file, and as I say, that Novak dives to the inside. He won't be able to have the exit, though. It seems that Ottinger and Vincent, they were able to comfortably pull away, but as soon as these guys start fighting each other, Evan, I have a feeling the rest of the field's going to start rolling them in. But yeah, Jimmy Mullis is still fighting for Logan Clampett in the back positions for 6th and 5th as Logan Clampett goes down yet another position. I think he's had it on the inside, Evan. He's going to want to go to the outside as we're pulling away on lap number 12.
Yeah, in fact, he's leaving the inside open. Mullis in that number 40 machine, nonetheless, was able to get the position from the 44. He tried on the inside. It did not work, and he was able to force his way to the top. Typically, you defend the inside of the racetrack, and it's hard for somebody to get topside. Well, if you're protecting the top, it's very easy for somebody to get inside of you, so don't really suspect that it's, kind of surprising that Mullis and Humpy have been able to take a peek on the bottom of the 40, but the 40 likes it a little bit higher up and has been able to put a couple of car lengths on the 58 of Kenny Humpy, who runs in 7th right now. You see the Marcus Richardson a little bit further back. P8 inside is wide open because they're running up about a car length off of the bottom of the racetrack. Now a battle for the race lead. Nick Ottinger, who started on pole, has controlled to this point. Very much like the battles that we've been talking about through to this moment, Tim. Left the inside open. Vincent forces his way down, but can the 10 do anything down there?
Vincent had that brief little battle on the start with Logan Clampett, and once he got that battle subsided, he pulled away, and he's now at Nick Ottinger's rear bumper. Gets that run at a corner number 2. Can he get there down the back straightaway? Ottinger holds the lead, but it's a 3-way dance now. Look at Ray Alfalla. Car number 2 has pulled up to this battle. It's nose to tail. Vincent gets a great run at a 4, puts that number 10 to the inside. They'll dance side by side down into corner number 1 as they go at it for the top spot on lap number 16. Look at the 10 getting that run on the inside. Looks like he might have Ottinger solved here. He can clear him down to 3.
Sends it off into the corner, and he is going to get the spot. Corey Vincent inside line of the racetrack. New race leader, lap number 16. It's the Herculiner Chevrolet. First lead change to this point, and knock, knock. Here comes the 2 of Ray Alfalla. Started 3rd, picked up spots early. Got around the 2nd place starter Logan Clampett in that 44. And also, Ryan Lowe has had a terrible start to this race. Started 4th, is way back in 13th position. And now Alfalla going to have an opportunity to try to make something work at the 05. He will look to the inside of the racetrack, and side by side again we go. This time for P2.
After almost 20 laps of running, I think that inside line might just start to be warming up, but mostly everybody is single file except for our front, maybe 5-10 runners. We have a caution out on the track. I see smoke coming off the backstretch.
Caution is out for the first time tonight behind your race leaders. Looks like the 71 of Mitchell Hunt is turned around at lap number 18. Caution flag going to come out. We'll take a second look. That one looked relatively unassisted for the driver running P22.
Yeah, he was running ahead of a little bit of a pack back there. He was in 22nd. Philip Diaz just behind him, but as you mentioned, Evan, no contact there. Hunt, slow little spin, and that will draw the caution for the first time this evening on lap number 19. So a nice little run to get this thing started off, and now everybody, at least at the front, going to head towards pit road and get service on their cars. We are 1/10 distance already through this one, 200 laps, and it's going to be about 20 laps completed here.
Yeah, take a look to see if the guys up front are all going to be coming down for pit road. Race leaders in, and you would expect that that would be the consensus top to bottom. Corey Vincent just took over the race lead. Might have a challenge with Nick Ottinger on a race off of pit road, but they are into the boxes. Right side tires going up for Vincent. Obviously going to get some fuel on board. Looks like that he and the rest of the guys up front going to go 4 tires. Gas and go is the number 1 pit stall enough for Ottinger off of pit road, and it was a tight one. He only had to go about 7 feet to get to the line, but I think Corey Vincent may have been able to hang on to it.
Well, it at least appears so right now. He's going to catch himself back up to that Ford safety car, and we'll see where Corey Vincent lays. I have a feeling he is going to be ahead of Nick Ottinger. It looks like Ray Alfalla came out 3rd, Zach Novak came out in 4th. Jimmy Mullis will hang in 5th. Logan Clampett will be in 6th. Humpy will be in 7th. Richardson 8th. Michael Luza in 9th, and then Shearburn in 10th. So, I mean, it doesn't look too much like they changed from the pit cycle, which is a fairly decent thing. About 20 seconds for most crews. A couple ended up having 16s. One had 14, but I have a feeling pretty much almost everybody took 4, I would have to say. I don't think anyone's going to risk 2 just yet.
Yeah, and if they were going to do it, it would be a short run, but I agree that making that call this early on into a race would be a little bit of a gamble, and nothing really changes up front in this. Vincent Ottinger, Alfalla, Novak, and Mullis, your top 5 coming off of the pit lane. That one did happen, though, relatively far back from everybody, so not a huge concern as far as, guys up front battling. We are just, in fact, starting to see people inside of the top 10 separate a little bit, but we double things back up, and we get set to go back green. Going to be with 22 of our 200 laps tonight complete. When we do so, tonight one of only 3 races that hits the 200 lap marker this season, one of which is going to be coming up in 2 weeks' time, the longest race of the season, this May the 23rd from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That one going to be 200 laps. We also have one towards the end of the season in the chase from Dover International Speedway. That one will be 200 laps as well. This one, the shortest distance-wise of those 3. So, pace car down and in. We'll see what the number 10 can do. More so importantly, I think, keep an eye on a battle for second behind him. Green flag flies. We go back at it again. And a beautiful jump. Ray Alfalla. He'll go 3rd to 2nd to quarter 1.
And the 15 is Zach Novak going to fall into line just behind the 2 of Ray Alfalla. The 40 of Jimmy Mullis on the inside as he battles Logan Clampett. Clampett going to try to get some of those positions back that he lost on the initial start of the race, trying to roll the top and take a couple of spots back. And look at Kenny Humpy. Humpy's won the last 2 editions of this Richmond race, and he's working his way, trying to get up here into the top 5.
Door to door they go for 3rd and 5th and so on as they come to turn 2, trying to find some space to spread things out. The 05 makes the move top to bottom. Ottinger going to be able to stay in front of Zach Novak as they run. Crossover this time at a 4. There it is. Bullis to the inside. A little bit too overzealous, though. He got out of shape. Hangs on. It'll force a little bit of a tight 2-3 wide situation in quarters 1 and 2. He gets things sorted back out, but he tried to slide to the inside of the 15 and about slid into the inside fence.
Yeah, sent everybody almost scattering, really, and they're still starting to try to sort these things out. Kenny Humpy, I think, managed to really take advantage of that one. He has pushed himself up into 4th position in that number 58 Chevrolet after starting back in 9th. Zach Novak, not so much. He seems to be sliding back a little bit with Logan Clampett as Jimmy Mullis as well. And here comes Marcus Richardson on the inside with Ryan Michaelusa trying to hang that outside line. He should have Jimmy Mullis pulled before they enter quarter number 1, but this is where things are going to get interesting as far as the track temperature, where they're putting down rubber, how the track is starting to warm up. I would have a feeling the inside line would come in at some point. Nearly everybody's single file line. The closest side-by-side battle I can see looking back is for 24th position, just behind Andrew Fayash, who started 20th. He's up to 23rd. He's back to 23rd, I guess I should say, but pretty much single file through the straights, so 2x2 for the corners.
Action going on now back inside the top 10. Mullis trying to make another move to the inside of Lusa. That one going to be side by side for 7th on the racetrack. And again, the inside's the shorter way around. You would expect it to be the place to go to. The 40's able to pull into the corner, but he just can't get back on the gas off. And right there, that's where you see the 1 power off for the corner and bring it basically from a dead heat to clearing him off to turn 3. So Lusa not having any of that. One of your more prominent movers so far, at least up front, started 13th. Now in 7th, as he's able to hold out that 40 machine for position. And now Marcus Richardson going to try to take a crack at the 40 by forcing his way down to the bottom.
And don't look now, Bobby Zielinski's there as well in car number 83. 2 weeks ago, he went to victory lane for the first time in this series and beginning to work his way a little closer towards the front of the field. He's currently in P10, started in 16th, and he's working on that 01 of Marcus Richardson. There's another name that has been solid all season long, Evan. We haven't mentioned his name much this year. Got no top 5 finishes, but he's still in position number 6 in the points. So Marcus Richardson, quiet, but very effective so far through the first 5 races.
Guys up front, not as tightly contested as it was earlier. Again, Vincent was able to get to the race lead shortly before the caution flag came out. He still runs 3/10 to the good over Alfala. Alfala off for the restart was able to get that spot from Ottinger. Ottinger not in the clear, though. He's watching the battle between Humpy and Novak. Novak going to go to the inside again without much resistance from the 58, although not a good cycle that time in 3 and 4 for Humpy on the outside. And Zach Novak might just be able to get clear in the center of the corner this time, and he does. So Novak continuing the march on up to a race high P4 with that move, and he made the move on the inside. Now he wants to go to the outside of Ottinger. All of this inside the top 5.
Race high position, speaking of, Ryan Michaelusa's pulled himself up into 6th position, just about 2.8 seconds off of your current race leader, Corey Vincent, that number 1 of Ryan Michaelusa. Well, he's managed to get past Logan Clampett and Jimmy Mullis. Jimmy Mullis, actually, he just tapped the outside wall, and Marcus Richardson managed to park his Ford right into the rear spoiler of Jimmy Mullis, damaging both of them, as now he's side by side with Bobby Zielinski. Richardson is, so we'll see how that goes. I have a feeling, Evan, these cars are going to be fairly decently able to take damage here on such a short track, but you never know.
Yeah, front end damage never good. The back end damage isn't going to hurt you that much. It is a, as we noted, smallest track in the calendar. Not that you want to be driving around with any sort of damage that can hurt that machine. The front end damage is what would be concerning, because we were talking about how it is a day race, so the temperatures are a little bit higher than what they would be if it was a night race. You have to be careful if any sort of damage on the front end of that car could lead to some overheating issues, something that is very difficult to track. And if you do see that becoming a problem, something that is very difficult to try to eradicate in the sim without just coming down pit road and getting every little bit of optional repairs that are available to you taken care of and just kind of hoping for the best. But back with these guys, the 21 of Alan Bowes, race winner so far this season, trying to do something up the inside of Richardson. Can't make it stick that time, but the fact that, again, these guys are preferably and willingly running up about 6-7 feet off of that yellow line, leaving that inside wide open, is going to mean that we're going to see a lot of this side by side as the night continues to go on.
And we're starting to see these drivers spread out just a little bit to the point where they can race a little bit, pick off their positions, and continue to go to the front of the field, like an Alan Bowes in the 21, Chris Shearburn in the 35, and how about Matt Busa in the 34? He had such a great run going a couple of weeks ago, could not complete the deal. Got involved, got mid-pack at the end of it when it came to the results, and now Busa trying to push his way a little bit closer towards the front of the field. The 34 on the inside of Shearburn, and the 35. They'll go side by side. 34, what a wobble off of corner number 2. Great save by Busa, but he's going to lose a bunch of spots.
And that one he pushed up, and he didn't get into the 35 until after he kind of overcorrected it. So we've seen a handful of drivers getting loose at a turn 2. And in fact, the only caution flag we've seen to this point came from a single driver getting a little bit squirrely in that same part of the racetrack. Something to keep an eye on it as the run gets longer. We've just about matched now, actually, with 18 laps complete after the restart. We have now gone the same distance we had before, obviously, between the green flag that first came out and the caution flag. So now as these tires continue to get more wear on them, we'll continue to keep an eye on the handling, just how out of control do these guys get at a turn number 2, but starting to finally see a little bit of separation up front. I think for maybe one of the first times tonight, the top 10 are actually single file, and for the first time tonight, the race lead is more than 1 second, 1.009 that time by between Vincent and Alfala.
And Corey Vincent can see onto the front windshield of his Chevrolet, just if he squints hard enough, the rear spoiler of Tyler Hill for running 43rd position. So if they continue this on, it won't be too long before I think they start making their way into lap traffic. But Corey Vincent, well, the lap times are starting to come down just a little bit. The last 6 laps have been in the 21-second bracket, when, of course, his fastest lap of the race was almost a qualifying time, really, 20.2. So the tires are starting to fall off. The lap times are starting to slow on up, a 21.3 that last time by. So he's almost losing a tenth a lap here, and I'm not necessarily sure if that's just tires, him running by himself, or what, but Ray Alfala's not doing too much better at 21.3 his last time by. Zach Novak also at 21.3. So while everybody's stabilized, the lap times are coming down. Well, I guess I should say up, but the speeds are slowing down.
Little bit by little bit, as we expect as this run goes on. More good news is 5 laps away from quarter distance. All 43 drivers who started this race scored on the lead lap. Couple of guys towards the back at the start to be at risk of losing their lead lap status. Tyler Hill right now runs at 43rd. He's 16 seconds behind our race leader. That translates to about 5 seconds in front of our race leader. And this is the kind of track where it's small enough that when you catch lap traffic, and if we get a long green flag stretch through to the point where we talk about going through green flag pit stops, and that's something that's going to be continuous, a factor as these guys continue to try to run around each other, and while battles for lead lap positions take place in the middle of all of that. One of those battles going on right now inside of the top 10, the 40 of Mullis and the 83 of Bobby Zelensky do battle. Zelensky, one of only 3 drivers who have started outside the top 10 to make their way inside the top 10 to this point, trying to get up to P8.
And Logan Clampett right in front, still trying to find a rhythm on this race setup. Qualified well, and it looks like he's found a place to race in position number 7. But Mullis will let the 2 on the top go, Zielinski and Alan Bowes, and now they get to single file racing. It's side by side behind them, as it looks like the 01 of Richardson and Taylor Hurst going at it. Shearburn now to the inside. Brad Davies is a part of this battle. The 04 of Bordeaux. There's a lot of drivers coming and going in this little pack right here, just outside the top 10. Some guys pushing their way towards the front, and some guys finding their way a little bit closer towards the back of the field. Are we going to see 3 wide here? It almost looks like Davies tried to get that car to turn underneath. Side by side, the 04 and the 7 may have swapped a little bit of paint there off too.
And 42 Machine over the radio apologizing about some contact as well, so things kind of getting dicey all over the place as Duval battling with the Onana Rattler. That was a battle for 23rd and 24th that was just disputed 1 lap ago. So you've got the 04 and the 7 fighting a little bit further northbound on the scoring pylon. Alan Bowes still doing battle with Bobby Zelensky, and again, when you're not protected from the inside, anybody who wants to toss it in there can at least challenge for that spot. That time by 50 laps down, 150 laps to go, quarter distance.
Nearly 3 wide is Logan Clampett, Alan Bowes, and Bobby Zelensky, as they are currently fighting for 7th position. They sort themselves out, just leaving Zelensky and Bowes side by side, but that was a little bit hairy coming out of the exit of 4, as I can almost see another pair of 3 wide in the back. But these guys, I think you're starting to find out who's got long distance setups and who possibly is letting their car wear on down. Logan Clampett, he's now switched to the outside line. Bobby Zelensky's now on the inside as they're going to cross the back stretch, going into 3 right now. Very close on the bottom side of that lane. You can start seeing a black line grubbering in here at Richmond after 53 laps of running, as I think, I still don't know if the outside or the inside's better. It just depends on the driver, as it is really starting to turn into a driver's track right now, and a lot of guys slipping and sliding around, starting to move their cars, and the cars that are managing to handle it are moving their way through the field.
Also interesting to see guys trying to work the outside and then try to work the inside. Gives you a pretty good idea of kind of what that car is able and what that car is not able to do, because Zelensky, who's been on the outside of Alan Bowes for the last couple of laps, was able to get that number 8 spot. He technically got around Mullis, who was 8th at the time, but has since fallen to 10th, and after doing that top side, Zelensky went low side, trying to get around Clampett for P7. Didn't work, and he'll squeeze outside. Not a lot of room given by the 44 Chevrolet, but Zelensky finds enough real estate to get the car up there nonetheless, and the 83 winner 2 weeks ago trying to march forward. More contact that time on the back.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Evan. I think they had a little bit of contact at Phoenix prior to those final couple of restarts. Clampett sideways at a corner number 4. Maybe that could be the reason why the 83 and the 44 racing each other a little bit hard. Maybe there's still a little bit of bad blood between those two, dating 2 weeks back. But nevertheless, Zelensky gets the spot, Bowes gets the spot, and Clampett continues to fall back. It just seems like he's trying to get into a rhythm and can't really find that in position number 9, but he has his hands completely full, because here comes Mullis and Taylor Hurst making his way towards the front of the field. The 74, I know he likes this Richmond International Raceway. He's vied for a couple of wins here before in this series. Started 18th, up to 11th, and looking for a top 10 spot is the 2 in front of him. Battle for position number 9, 40 on the inside, 44 Clampett on the outside.
The top 10, apparently a fun place to be, because that's where a lot of this action is going on. The 40's going to jump back up to the outside of the racetrack, but just an update on a couple of guys. Nick Ottinger, who started on pole, he is in P6 at the moment, not really a part of the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th, and so on forth. He's a little bit in front of it, which is good news for him, staying out of the spotlight just a little bit. But some big movers. Ryan Luza started 13th. He runs in 5th at the moment. Zelensky, who started 16th, runs in 7th, but look a little bit further back. Derek Bordeaux, winner from Daytona, started 27th. He is up to 12th. He's your biggest mover through 59 laps of action, and he's got a front row seat to a battle between Taylor Hurst and Jimmy Mullis.
Yeah, this whole group between just about where the top 10 starts and the top 20 finishes is really been nothing but side-by-side action pretty much the entirety of the race. It's been very entertaining to watch, but something else to take note of, Corey Vincent, after 60 laps of running here, is just about to close in on Tyler Hill. He's gaining in about 3/10 of a second a lap. He's only got about a second and a half to get to that number 9 at Tyler Hill, and once he does that, he's going to start trying to work his way through lap traffic, and that's where things are going to start to get interesting. And actually, talking about interesting, for position 3 right now, Zach Novak versus Kenny Humpy. Well, Kenny Humpy, as it was said before, has won here the last 2 races, and now he is closing very tightly on Zach Novak's number 15 Toyota, and he's going to pull along to the inside as they start lap 62.
It is a battle for a top 3 spot, and not a lot of resistance was put up by the Infinite Creative Solutions Toyota. P3 going to go to Kenny Humpy, who started 9th and is now +6 on the evening. The next driver that he will attempt to set his sights on is Ray Alfalla, who made quite the spirited charge to 2nd, got to 3rd before the caution, was able to pick up that 1 additional spot off of Ottinger off for the restart, and then is kind of balanced out about a 2nd behind Vincent. We'll see if Humpy has enough to muster up something, but he himself is basically a 2nd off of the 2, 9/10ths back the last time around the racetrack as the guys up front start to separate. Not the same effect, though, on the guys right around P10. They continue to battle. Ryan Lowe wants to be a part of the fun, so he'll go to the inside of Jimmy Mullis. I'll tell you what, that 40 Ford has had his hands busy this entire run.
Indeed he has, and now the 7 low goes to the outside line. Richardson tried to look to the inside that time by, couldn't get the job done at a 2. And then you've got a hornet's nest back here as the 01 and the 7 continue to go at it. Shearburn just behind them, Brad Davies. There's Matt Busa, and then you have Cody Bias coming to the front of the field. Cody Bias started back in position number 21. He's gained a couple of spots so far, but he's been involved in this little battle back here, gaining positions, losing positions, so we'll see what transpires here in the next couple of laps. As they go into the corner, they fan out. Bias to the inside, Busa to the outside. Chalner on his back bumper as well. There's guys that are trying to position themselves towards the front of the field as we get closer to that halfway point.
And with every now passing lap starting to close our way to pit stops. Actually, this time by, we're now 1/3 distance. 66 laps tonight going to be complete by race leader Corey Vincent. And that means we move into the 2nd segment of tonight's broadcast. It is brought to you by Herculiner Truck Bed Liners, the official bed liner of NASCAR. And Speaking of such, we take a look down through the guys up at the front of the field, and looks like for a brief moment, maybe the top 10 will single file one more time. We still have Mullis and Lowe doing battle, but that is now a 7-second difference between those guys and the guys up front, and we are about to see our first driver go a lap down, Tyler Hill, within the sight range of the 10.
Yeah, and if we look just a little bit past Tyler Hill, you'll see Timmy Hill leading a pack of about 6 cars right now, including Nicholas Johnston, Brian Schoenberg, Josh Berry, Brandon Schmidt, Will Cooley. These guys have been really fanning around and racing each other very hard, especially these last 10 laps, as Johnston pulls up ahead of Schoenberg. And this is going to be interesting once these leaders start coming through here. Of course, this battle's for 37th, 38th, 39th, and 40th. But these guys are fighting just as hard as the guys up to the front, almost looking to go 3 wide as they enter corner number 1. Once again, Schoenberg gets a tap in the rear in that number 55. They will go 3 wide on either side of Schoenberg. He manages to save it, and he'll hold that a go. So we continue to stay green here, but once these leaders start peeking their noses in here, it is going to get very interesting as we close in on lap 70.
And having a front row seat to all of that, the Peak Blue Def Chevrolet of Josh Berry, who runs 41st, but that was 3 wide for 39th position. And again, it is noteworthy that I talk about how when the 10 catches up to lap traffic, it's going to be constant lap traffic, because those guys are going to be doing exactly as we just saw that group do, battling for position, while he himself tries to milk what is a slowly diminishing advantage over now second place runner Kenny Humpy, who was about 10 laps ago 2 seconds off of the race lead. Since then, he passed Ray Alfala, made up a second and about a third, and now the gap between P1 and now P2 Kenny Humpy is only 0.7 of a second. So this 58 is absolutely charging.
Yeah, he's definitely turned it up over the last few laps, and as he turns it up, there's a couple more turning it up within the top 10. Taylor Hurst to the inside of the 21 of Alan Bowes. They'll go side by side for position number 8. Hurst trying to make his way up now to the inside of Nick Ottinger. Ottinger in position number 7. Ottinger falling back a little bit. Zielinski just passed the 05 a few laps ago, and now he has those 2 cars of Hurst and Bowes going at it. Just behind them, Clampett is under fire from Derek Bordeaux. There's a bunch of little battles here starting to pop up, and as you mentioned, Evan, a little bit earlier, pit stop's going to be on the mind in the next couple of laps, so these guys trying to pick off the positions that they can before hitting pit road.
And there's obviously an inherited strategy by short pitting this, trying to get on the fresh tires sooner rather than later, and on the vice versa of that, staying out on older tires. I would assume that if Corey Vincent loses the race lead here to Kenny Humpy at a lap or 2, that at least at that point the 10 would come down pit road. Again, there's a fair amount of separation amongst the guys inside of the top 5 and the guys a little bit further back in the pack. But through all of this, as we start to see lead lap cars from the top 10, Ray Alfala coming in from 3rd that time by. Battle for the race lead is going to be on at lap number 76. Kenny Humpy to the inside started this race in 9th position and has really put the pedal to the metal at the last 10 laps as this run starts to get down to pit stops. And the 58 this time by, first time new race leader for him, lap 77.
And that was fairly straightforward. I have to say Humpy's timing has been fairly well. He's still in the low 22s. Corey Vincent 22.3 that last time by, so no problems for Kenny Humpy. He's worked his way from 9th position all the way up. And here comes Corey Vincent. Well, lost the lead. Might as well come in and get some new tires. He'll screech it on down to 40 mile an hour. That is the pit lane speed limit, as he's going to work his way now around the very rounded pit lane, and he'll find his stall all the way in stall number 3. But a lot of big names are starting to come into the pits here, and this is where it's going to get very interesting, Evan. You've got a lot of people that are going to be going out on brand new tires, and that is going to be causing some problems. You're going to be talking almost 3-4 second lap differences per lap.
Yeah, already guys having issues getting onto the pit lane. Hearing problems with the number 3 machine trying to get onto the pit lane. That's Brandon Schmidt. He's been able to get into the box without incident, but exactly right. We're going to have guys on and off of the pit lane, people with very different tires, and obviously the closing rate's going to be crazy. Look at Zach Novak, your race leader, is getting passed by guys that are 1-2 laps down like it's nothing because they've got fresh tires. He does not, but because this track is so short, and to be honest, it's a rather long pit lane all the way from the center of turn 4 down to the exit of quarter number 2. When these guys come down pit road, they spend a lot of time down pit road. You're going to either go 1, if not 2 laps down just by pitting, depending on where you were running.
So continues to be Zach Novak out in front and out on the racetrack. As you mentioned, Matt Busa in the 34 going to move up to position number 3 as a couple more cars decide to come down to pit road, and this is where it starts to get a little bit anxious for some of these guys. Ryan Lowe and Matt Busa second and third. Ray Alfala coming right up on them with those brand new tires. Ryan Lowe going to decide down to pit road this time by. Novak continues to stay out on the racetrack as these strategies will continue to work through, and minus that little spin by Brandon Schmidt, it's been fairly clean so far on pit stops, and we remain under the green flag.
Novak, Busa, Shearburn, Challoner, Davies, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The drivers who still have yet to pit. Fayash still out there. Rattler, Scott, Diaz, Gilliland, and Sturgis, at least up to that point, appear to be the drivers who have yet to come down to the pit lane. Most of those drivers started about 15th or deeper, but for Novak, he started 7th. For the likes of Brad Davies, who I believe just is now down pit road, and he is in that 11. He started 10th, so this is not only the guys that are way back in the field that are trying to stay out and stretch this thing. These are guys that have top 15, top 20 cars.
Yeah, we're going to see pit strategy pretty much get thrown to the birds here, just because of you had that little early caution where people all came in, and so your lap times are all going to have been, your lap distances are going to be all swapped around and changed around. You're going to try to figure out, okay, just how many stints can I run on this if I can do that. It was about 55 laps, maybe 56 laps that last green flag stint, so we'll see just what they can do. As just looking right now, leader as it stands is Zach Novak, but you can just look at Corey Vincent. He's on the inside. Whoop, there he goes, just coming off of 4, managed to make the entire pass and get 3 car lengths before they even made it to the start-finish line. So that is just what new tires are going to do for you. And you got to start wondering, well, if the leader, the guy that was in front of me, has already came in and get tires, now he's running many seconds a lap faster. You can basically say anybody that's staying out right now, which is not that many cars. I think it's maybe 14 cars that have only came in and pitted once, which means obviously everyone came in under that caution, so you only have 14 cars right now who do not have tires. And you got to start wondering if these guys are just planning for a yellow at this point, or trying to run to a fuel number, because I can already see the cars that had come in and get tires are starting to pass the cars that were just about to go a lap down. Ray Alfala, he's actually passed Tyler Hill and Brian Schoenberg, even though he has come in twice, and Schoenberg has only come in once.
Something also to note, right before we saw these guys come down to the pit lane, Kenny Humpy is the driver that had assumed the race lead over that 10 of Corey Vincent. Well, right now, Corey Vincent, who pitted before, he pitted right after he was passed by Kenny Humpy, but he did end up pitting before Humpy, who did not come down. Obviously, the 10 slipped in behind him. Corey Vincent, 14th on the racetrack. Kenny Humpy, 20th on the racetrack. Just that little bit of a short pit can make a huge distance that makes up for about 3/4 of a straightaway.
Yeah, there's a lot of time there between Kenny Humpy, who's battling with Bobby Zielinski right now for what is 19th on the board as pit stops continue to cycle through, trying to get by that 83 for that spot. But as you mentioned, they're behind Ray Alfala and Corey Vincent would be the 2 drivers that came off of pit road first. And if this completely cycles through, they will be your leaders. And even Ray Alfala's pulled away a little bit from Corey Vincent from where he was prior to the pit stop. It's over a second between Ray Alfala in 13th, Corey Vincent in 14th. But as you mentioned, long way back to Kenny Humpy and a few others that are battling right now in this little gaggle of cars between new tires and old tires. The 83 of Zielinski and the 58 of Kenny Humpy have a battle on their hands.
Only 22 cars on the lead lap before pit stops began. We had 42 cars on the lead lap, and many of these still waiting to get cycled through, and they are. Nick Ottinger just got his lead lap status back. He's 23rd. Not that good for the driver who started on pole, but again, keep it in mind, we've got a handful of guys up front who have yet to come down to the pit lane. Once they do come down pit road, most of those people one lap down, I'd say about a half to 3/4 of them will be able to get back to the lead lap, and then we'll be able to resume our regularly scheduled program of having the guys up front starting to slowly catch up to and lap those drivers. But you have to question, Cam, what is the end game for those staying out? Is it quite simply stay out as long as you can and hope for a caution, or the longer this goes on, you might start to get the impression that trying to run a little bit of a different fuel strategy overall?
I have a feeling a lot of these guys are starting to kick themselves, because the guys that have been already into the pits have sliced and diced and cut their way through the field. Ray Alfala is only 10 seconds off the rear of Matt Busa and Zach Novak. So you got to start wondering exactly whereabouts they're going to be coming in for pits. They have to be running to a fuel number or planning for a caution. That is it. Because really the gap is nothing, basically. 10 seconds, and it's coming down almost 2 seconds a lap. So it won't be but 3, 4, 5 laps before these cars of Matt Busa and Zach Novak will be caught up. Here comes Zach Novak. He's had enough. He wants to get some fresh Goodyear Eagles on his Toyota, so he'll come down to 40 mile an hour, and this is going to be almost a problem here. Not only is he going to have the position passed right now, he's still probably looking to lose a lap and a half. He is going to be really paying the price for not coming in when he should. Matt Busa, who has taken over your lead during some faster traffic coming on through, he's going to now start to wonder, oh, geez, when do I got to come in?
Ray Alfalla, I believe, is the highest running driver who has come down pit road already in completed service, just past Zach Novak, Jake Sturgis, who just got around Fayash, Gilliland and company. But Ray Alfalla now up to the number 6 position. How about that split of the Dottie 4 in the 16? As he's going to go up to what's going to be P4. Only 8 seconds behind Busa. If Busa decides to stay out for long enough, Alfalla is going to catch and pass him. But Alfalla not really in the clear, not all that far behind is Corey Vincent. So the battle for 4th and 5th is the battle that will become the battle for the race lead. Alfalla's been able to spearhead this charge back through the pack because he was one of the first drivers to pit, therefore one of the first drivers to get fresh tires, to get back out there. Vincent waited a little bit to do so. Obviously, again, when he lost the race lead, he came down pit road as I expected the case would be, but his tires just a smidge fresher than those of the two, and he's actually closing the gap between he and Alfalla.
And when you look through the top 10 or so, you still see some drivers that have stayed out on the racetrack. Adam Gilliland, Andrew Fayash III, some of those drivers that like to extend their pit strategy and maybe go on one less stop. Could that possibly be what they're seeing tonight? I left my calculator at Phoenix, so you're going to have to do the math for me, Evan. But I think some of these guys, the reason that they're staying out, could it possibly be that they're going to do this race on one less stop, thinking it's going to go to the end, green flag?
And it might work short term as far as doing one pit stop instead of 2, but if it comes down to doing 2 pit stops instead of 3, then again, just how much of a difference that is. You've got these guys out there catching up to you, and if Busa does not pit before Vincent catches him, you're not really saving yourself a pit stop because he has done a pit stop, caught back up to you before you've done neither or, and you both have maybe 2 more pit stops to go from that point. So again, these strategies can work. We've seen it work in the past at places like Watkins Glen, taking a little bit of a different fuel strategy, and it has had good results, but I'm not sure long term if we go green for the next 98 laps of this race as we just crossed over the halfway point. We'll hold off on taking a look at a railway race break until the pit cycles have cycled through completely, but it's going to be difficult to really see the end game for Busa unless he gets the yellow or something to help him out, because Vincent, Alfalla knocking on the door at about a second quicker per lap for both of those guys, 2nd and 3rd, compared to our race leader.
Yeah, not quite sure when the fuel window is going to start entering for that Toyota Camry of Matt Busa, but I will say he's running 22 3s, 22 2s, 23 4s, repeated 22-second laps, whereas Ray Alfalla, well, he's already climbed up to 21 5s, so he's really only running 0.7 of a second faster, maybe almost a second lap, a lap faster than Matt Busa. So you almost start to wonder here, all that steam that Ray Alfalla had when he sliced and diced and cut his way through the field is actually starting to sputter out now with Matt Busa up ahead. But obviously Matt Busa on his stint length right now, 85 laps he has been on those tires. Ray Alfalla, he's almost been 30 laps, if you believe that's how many laps we've had since they came into pit. So 30 times around the circuit for Ray Alfalla's tires means his lap time is slowly starting to trickle down, but obviously I have a feeling that Ray Alfalla and Corey Vincent are both going to be getting by Matt Busa next lap, if not the lap after.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second gap between P1 P2. Here we go. Not only is it going to be a battle for what will become the race lead, but we just have to get the technicality out of the way of these guys getting by Busa. He just has nothing on the outside with those old tires to hold these guys off. And at lap 107, Ray Alfalla, I believe first time tonight, the 2 Ford, to be able to put himself into the race lead. Again, he was second, about 10 laps before he pitted, got passed up, and then Corey Vincent also gave up the top spot just before coming down to the pit lane. But Ray Alfalla goes to the race lead, and look at the 15 machine making his way through the field. It's a lap car. Zach Novak, 1 lap down, even fresher, more tires than these guys because he was one of those who stay out for much longer. So he'll have the tire benefit. He'll get himself back to the lead lap. But the 15 kind of helping out the 2 here, giving them a little bit of distance. That 10 was just all over the 2. We'll see how Vincent's able to respond.
And now the 2 of Ray Alfalla trying to put a lap on Nick Johnston. Johnston on the outside, Alfalla on the inside. But you remember the 15 of Novak was quick early in the race, as it's going to be 3 wide here. Our leader in the middle, Alfalla, stuck in the middle of 2 lap cars. He's going to try to send it down into corner number 1. Novak still on the inside. He will pass Alfalla and unlap himself, put him back on the lead lap. Little bobble at corner number 2. Close call for the leader, but now he has Vincent behind him by 2 lengths, and the 90 in between them with a little bit of breathing room. So Ray Alfalla trying to lead some laps here and trying to establish a gap between himself and the rest of the field. And oh, by the way, 3rd place right now is Ryan Luza. Luza and Humpy going at it for what is position number 3, as Humpy has tracked down the 1.
And you've got a feeling that the guys who have just now been able to rightfully cycle themselves back through to the front not going to be all that far away from coming back down to the pit lane in a handful of laps from now. So with that being said, last time by, 111 laps complete so far to this point from Richmond. We'll take this opportunity to take a look at our iRacing midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is your one-stop shop for online racing with officially sanctioned series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and more. At lap 113, Ray Alfalla is your race leader, 0.6 of a second to the good over Corey Vincent, who runs P2, and Ryan Luza, who is running in the 3rd spot. That, though, not uncontested. Kenny Humpy right alongside with him, scored in 4th the last time by. Alan Bowes inside of the top 5. Zelensky, Bordeaux, and Clampett through the top 8, with Taylor Hurst and Nick Ottinger the top 10.
Cody Bias, he's gone from 21st to 11th. Chris Overland, 43rd to 12th. Dylan Duval is running in 13th position. Jimmy Millis in 14th position. It is Brad Davies in at number 11. He's running 15th. Kristen Challoner in 16th. Brian Blackford in 17th. Marcus Richardson, he's had up and down day as he is back in 18th, 14.8 seconds off the leader. Mitchell Hunt, of course, the car that brought out our only caution on lap 18, is tracking in 19th position. And Ryan Lowe wraps out the top 20 after starting in 4th position, 15.6 seconds behind your leader.
P21 currently belongs to Michael Conti, but Zach Novak is trying to make his way through here. He's got Chris Shearburn just in front of him as they battle now for position number 21 and 22. Conti and Novak side by side. Michael Johnson in 23rd, 24th. 3 wide Daly, Byron Daly in 24th. And Casey Tucker is scored as the last driver currently on the lead lap in position number 25. 1 lap down is Nick Johnston, Josh Berry, Chandler Krizik, Will Cooley, and Matt Busa after running in the top 10 earlier in this race. Currently scored 1 lap down in P30.
Continuing on through 31st through 36th, the also drivers who are scored 1 lap down. That includes Brandon Schmidt, Nolan Scott, Jake Sturgis, Chris Shearburn, Adam Gilliland, and David Rattler. A handful of drivers from this point 2 laps down. 37th is Andrew Fayash, 38th for Philip Diaz, Timmy Hill 39th, 40th for Joe Lottarello, with Brian Schoenberg 41st, Tyler Hill 42nd, and Trey Edson 43rd. Those guys only 2 laps down, all things considered, through 117 laps of action. We have no drivers behind the wall to this point from Richmond. That's a look at your iRacing midway race break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today for a limited time. Go to iRacing.com /World of Outlaws. You can take advantage of some exclusive promo codes to get yourself on iRacing with a 1-year membership for half the price. Or you just want to give iRacing a chance, no problem. You can get yourself a 3-month membership for less than $5. So if you've been looking for an excuse, now's the time to do it. Again, that's a limited time only. You can go to iRacing.com/World of Outlaws. Guys, 120 laps complete now, 80 laps to go from Richmond, Virginia. Ray Alfalla has been able to settle into a 0.5 of a second advantage over Corey Vincent. Really the most passing we've seen tonight, despite the fact that how many battles we saw earlier on happened under that caution flag. A lot went down. It completely restructured the running order, and we're not going to be able to make it from this point to the end of this race, so it's kind of hard to gauge how you kind of run this thing out from this point, because we have to do it at least one more time.
Absolutely, and you want to start talking about tire stint lengths right now. I know that's not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world, but Nicholas Johnston, he came in the first for your green flags. He's got 50 laps since we started our original green flag running. Josh Berry, he's almost got 50 laps. Really, one of your front runners, your position number 4 car, Ryan Michaeluza, he pitted 50 laps ago next time by, so his tires are starting to wear on down. Ray Alfalla's is only 2 laps older, so these guys are starting to really turn and burn their laps. Ray Alfalla, he's hardly breaking out of the 22-second barrier this time by. His last lap was a 22 flat. It should be just under 21, 21.999, so tire wear is starting to come into play once again. This race is absolutely flying now here at Richmond.
Trying to take a look throughout the field, see if anything else going on, but there's mostly people on fresh tires just catching up to guys on old tires. The 78, we see the Christian Challenger just now trying to make a move on Dylan Duval. That one back, around with for 14th position on the racetrack, is now 75 laps remain in our Richmond 200. Another battle on the racetrack. 47 to Chris Overland trying to do battle with Nick Ottinger. That one amongst 11th and 12th position. How about those two guys? Funny that they find themselves, because they came from complete opposite ends of the spectrum 126 laps ago. Nick Ottinger, who runs in 11th, started first. Chris Overland, who started 12th, started 43rd. From the front to the middle and from the back to the middle, these guys somehow have found each other in the battle for 11th.
And a close call with some lap traffic there as the 05 of Ottinger continues to march on. Just behind Overland, Jimmy Mullis is trying to track down the 47 car as they run down the back straightaway. Within the top 10, there's a couple of close battles. I caught out of the corner of my eye the 74 Taylor Hurst a couple laps ago make the move on Derek Bordeaux and tried to push a little closer towards the top 5, but pretty status quo within the top 10 right now. Guys trying to log laps and get to what might be the final green flag pit stop of the afternoon or of the evening as we push on lap number 128 and 129 for the leaders as Ottinger comes up at a corner number 4, still trying to defend that spot from Overland and Jimmy Mullis as they come up at a 4.
How long is it going to be before these drivers decide that they're going to have to bring it down to the pit lane? Ray Alfalla, answer is now. Locks it up, though. Race leader trying to get a jump on who's going to be the first one in. He pits lap 129.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's probably 5-6 laps before he did the last time around here. So Ray Alfalla, I believe, is working on the undercut. Perhaps they've run the fuel number. They know that that car can make it to the end of this race. And they can get themselves a going. He reaches into his pit stall and he'll be getting his fresh boots and some new fuel. And Corey Vincent, I think that took him quite a bit by surprise there. I think he even had to jump on the brakes a little bit as he is now going to continue solo working around through lap traffic. You know what? Why not? If you're Ray Alfalla, you've got yourself worked out. He's going to come out in a massive gaggle of cars. Will he get out ahead of him? No, he will not. It'll be free wide with him on the apron. That's he's not going to be too happy about. He's going to now have to play tag through cars that are running side by side, led by Adam Gillen. Right now, he's going to try to slice up the middle, and he's going to have to stop park for just a hesitating moment. He'll go into the start-finish or start-to-stand, and now he's going to work his way onto the inside. And one is, well, I don't think he wanted to come out in traffic, Evan, but you know what? When you got new tires, it makes it look easy.
And he absolutely had to be that aggressive, because any second that he gives up from this point on could cost him this race. Now, more drivers in. Corey Vincent down pit road. The 28 is in. Alan Bose has now assumed the race lead in the number 21 Ubashid. But, you know, I think based on how long we saw the people who stayed out the longest, we were talking about those who were maybe banking on a yellow flag. Alfala could maybe, under that context, to make it to the end of this race, but then that would be the longest stretch by almost double of a green flag run that he is going to be doing all night long. So it is an interesting call, but he made the first move. It was not a reactionary move, so the Alfala camp obviously making a decision that they think that's their best bet.
Cam was talking about stint length before these pit stops started, as Alan Bowes will surrender the lead down onto pit road and go to work on the number 21 car. Cody Bias will also come on to pit road, should hand the lead over to Zach Novak in car number 15. But Cam was talking about stint lengths, 50 laps and change before these guys came down into pit road. Most of these guys will have to go approximately 70 laps if that was their final green flag pit stop. We've seen tires be so king here. Could Ray Alfala and these guys that are coming down pit road maybe have another pit stop with 25 laps to go or so to get those fresh tires, bolt them on, and come back onto the racetrack? Given this thing stays green, we've seen a couple of late race cautions in these races, but if this thing stays green, I'm interested in how this strategy plays out, because we could see a couple of guys making one more stop here soon, and that be their final pit stop to the end of this race at Richmond.
And there is also the case that you don't want to pit too early. Sure, you pit now, everybody else stays out on old tires, you get fresh tires, you get to go. And heck, that's what got the two of Ray Alfala to the race lead when he made this call originally. But if you make the call too early, especially going an extra maybe 20-25 laps at what you've done so far to this point in the race, then you have to consider that somebody who pits a little bit later than you going to have fresher tires a little bit longer into the run. And, just little things here and there, like Alfala coming out stuck behind 2x2 traffic. He was very aggressive and diligently got around them, but if somebody else just happens to come out with a little bit of clear real estate, those things can add up. And Ray Alfala is going to have to go, as he runs lap 138 right now, scored in 7th, if he is to continue to cycle through to and then eventually become a race leader. Again, he's got to go from this point to the end, 62 laps uncontested without getting anything else. It's a long way for the number 2 Ford, but still waiting for drivers to pit as we did the last time. I think if there was a time to stay out, bank on a yellow, this would be the stint to do it. You got Novak, Davies, Lowe, Johnson, Busa, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I almost think it's impressive from Ray Alfala. He's already pushed himself up to position number 6, so a lot of people responding to his call to pit, but it's not necessarily had too many takers. I mean, the only other cars with the 3 pit stops listed is Kenny Humpy. He pitted right around the same time as Alfala. Looks like Corey Vincent came in probably 2-3 laps after he did. And then Ryan Michaeluza and Bobby Zelensky have also, but they came out there now, position 12, position 14. So it's going to be interesting to see just how this pays off for Ray Alfala. I mean, he seems to have a general idea of just continuing to do the more basic strategy and then just executing it so expertly well that he doesn't really have to, depends on having a unique strategy or trying something crazy. I don't think that this is borderline crazy, but he really was the one that darted in, jammed on the brakes, said, you know what, we can make it, we're going to try it, let's do it. And so we'll see how that pays off for that number 2 Ford, as he's actually got quite a bit of open space right now. So not only does he have the new tires, but he's got a little bit of open space to use it, as this track is really rubbering in now. You can almost see the tire tracks in the very bottom banking of the corner. But we'll see what that Ray Alfala will be able to do with it as he goes around the number 55 of Brian Schoenberg.
Is Schoenberg running in the number 32 spot. That's exactly where he started. Not the best night for the 55 team so far through to this point. The closest driver to Alfala for position, and not necessarily fair to say that Novak, Lowe, and Busa aren't for position. They are, in fact, in front of him on the racetrack, but again, on a different strategy to this point. But the closest battle, quote, for position is Kenny Humpy, who runs behind him in 5th. And that is a 2-second gap. It's closed in by about a 10th or 2 the last 6 or 7 circuits around the racetrack. Humpy pitted 2 laps after Alfala, so he's closed the gap from 2 seconds to 1.8. So he is that smidge quicker. Can he maintain that distance for, the end of the 55 laps to go? Alfala's going to get to these guys up front. Assuming this stays green, Novak, Lowe, Busa not going to be able to make it to the end. Tires not going to be able to do anything with it. So the 2 right now, I think, in the best position. You got to look at guys like Shearburn in 6th and Vincent in 7th as guys who might come in and play spoilers if we were to, get a caution flag and then kind of re-rack things, as the 10 of Corey Vincent has been able to get around the 35 as Shearburn still awaits to come down pit road.
Yeah, I think the three that you're watching are Alfala, Humpy, and Vincent at this point. Vincent very strong. Caution is out on the speedway, and right in front of Corey Vincent, it does come out at a corner number 4, so that will put us back under the yellow flag, and we got one car with heavy smoke. That's Byron Daly coming down the front straightaway, involved in this one.
Schoenberg as well, heavily damaged. We were just talking about the 55, how he had just gotten passed by Alfala, and he had some help. A very impatient Brad Davies trying to get around Brian Schoenberg. In fact, that was a battle for position, 29th and 30th, and it just ran him over.
Yeah, and obviously having a caution right now is not what you want to see. Brian Schoenberg carrying damage. He actually just blew the engine on his machine, so he was having a safe night, I would say, but now obviously not having a good night at all. Also, speaking of bad days, Mitchell Hunt on his attempt at entry to pit lane, he ended up, I think, locking it up. It collided with the water barrels and actually flipped it onto its roof on the entry of pit lane. They were really just able to kind of pull the car off, so there was no issues as far as the caution is concerned. But for Mitchell Hunt, his day is going to be done, and I think right now Brian Schoenberg, well, he's trying right now to keep that car, to get it into pit lane, see what his crew can do with that number 55. But yeah, it's cliche, but this in fact does change everything.
Race leaders down pit road. This is great for Zach Novak, Ryan Lowe, and Matt Busa. Not the best of news for the likes of Alfala, Humpy, and Vincent, but they are all down pit road. Despite the fact that the first 3 names they listed had not pitted on this cycle, and despite the fact that the back 3 names had, they are all doing the same thing. 4 tires and fuel. Race off for the pit lane, won by the 7.
Yeah, Zach Novak in the 15, quick pit work down and away and beat everybody off pit road. Ryan Lowe and then Ray Alfala, I believe, may have got out ahead of Matt Busa. Kenny Humpy there as well. There's a lot of strong contenders that are going to be fighting for this in the final 50 laps of this one. And we mentioned Brian Schoenberg, his tough luck, had a team change, left his team that he was with for the first 5 races of this season, and I know he's searching for a new team, and that would be a good ad if somebody's looking for a teammate. I know he's been involved in this series for a while, so we'll see where Brian Schoenberg lands. Tough break, though, tonight. The bad luck continues for the 55 car.
So now we're going to get a completely different race out of this thing. I still think that it may be difficult for somebody like a Ryan Lowe to hang on to this. He started 4th. He's got a fast car, was 11th in the warm-up session, but the car, obviously, to kind of find himself in a position where he wanted to take that alternate strategy route, was obviously not doing exactly what the 7 wanted. But again, car has shown speed, so we'll have to see what he can get out of it. Novak and Hurst were 1-2. The 74, however, back down the pit lane once again, coming in for 4 tires 1 lap after everybody else had pitted, so that's going to undoubtedly cost him. We are going to move inside of the final 50 laps nonetheless in tonight's Richmond 200. So the final portion of tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Blue Def, the official diesel exhaust fluid and DEF equipment of NASCAR. I think 2 weeks ago, Cam, we got a caution with 50 laps to go, and that's where things got fun, and you saw the highlights earlier tonight on how physical that got. Richmond is a racetrack that can give you a little bit of both, and tonight, so far, so good. Lots of good, clean green flag action, a lot of strategy, but with 3/4 of the race gone now, and these guys going to be doubled up 2x2x2 with 35 cars on the lead lap, a number we haven't seen in about 100 and some odd laps. Hard to imagine that everybody's going to be quite as polite as they have been.
Yes, Mr. Evan Pasoko, I have a feeling that we are going to be entering a zone of danger with the last 50 laps going to be clicking away. Some 15 cars now passing the pace car, getting a wave around as they're going to line them all up and get ready to get started here at Richmond. We're going to see exactly just how high the elbows are going to stick out here last 50 laps here at Richmond.
Lights out on top of the iRacing.com pace car. Here we go. 48 laps to go from Richmond. Novak takes the American Ethanol green flag, and he sets sail to turn 1. Second time tonight, Ray Alfala, who restarted 3rd, is going to make a charge for P2. Wasn't able to get it out right, but battles for 2nd.
And that's Ryan Lowe on the outside trying to keep it away as they continue to battle side by side, and they'll come up at a corner number 4, continuing side by side for 2nd on back. Corey Vincent trying to take it away from Busa. Behind them, Ryan Luza and Kenny Humpy starting to make their way through and try to put themselves in a position to try to get up here in the top 5. But it continues to be the 15 of Novak up in front. We mentioned earlier, he was strong in the top 10 a little bit earlier, fell back because of that pit strategy. But now with everybody on the same footing, see what Zach Novak has and see if he can hold off the rest of this field over the next 45 laps.
Yeah, the number 2 Ford has been able to get the spot. How quickly, or is he able to get up to that 15 to Zach Novak? Again, low Novak, 2 drivers who started top 10, just found themselves out of cycle. So it's not like they don't have good cars, but how can they contest with the likes of Alfala and Vincent, who have been the fastest cars so far tonight? How about Ryan Luza, who runs in 5th, has been there. His name got lost in translation a little bit through the cycle to pit stops. Can he do something back in the picture? Busa, Humpy, 6 and 7, they're right there as well.
Yeah, you would think that perhaps this would have jumbled up the where everyone had started to where they are right now, but it's not that crazy. You've got a couple of good names up there, like Jake Sturgis, who started in 42nd, and and Nolan Scott, who started in 35th. But outside of that, really, everyone basically starting just about the top 15 and below running right now. Though your overall qualifier, he is in 20th position, Nick Ottinger. So definitely not the night he wanted to have with that caution. Ryan Michaeluza, though, he's fighting on the outside. He's now closing in on Corey Vincent. And for Kenny Humpy, I think he's just going to have to wait for these tires to all come in. I believe that is fairly understood by pretty much everybody on the field right now. Kenny Humpy definitely has the car to beat when the laps are ticking down. And Ray Alfala, while he sees them fighting, he's going to want to try to pull away. And for Zach Novak, well, he's just got to focus on the laps. He's got no lap traffic to deal with, and that is something that we have not had to deal with probably about 30-40 laps.
And keep in mind that when everybody came down pit road, got those 4 fresh tires, which put us all back at an even playing field under this yellow, also meaning that now there's no doubts that we could make it to the end of this race without coming down pit lane. 40 laps to go this time by from Richmond. Not a lot of change up front. Still 4/10 between Novak and Alfala. That's not a lot of gap, but at least the 15 is keeping the 2 honest. This time by, Alfala takes 2 100s. He's chipping away at the battle for the race lead as we keep our eyes attested to 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Low Vincent Luza nice and tight in turn 2.
Yeah, Corey Vincent pushing that number 7 of Ryan Lowe to his limits, trying to get that position, and maybe trying to get Ryan Lowe to go a little harder than he wants to right now. Behind them, Luza and Humpy. It seems like they've had magnets on each other all night long. They've been battling throughout these cycles of pit stops. They'll do it again side by side at a corner number 2. Luza will get the run on the outside line. Humpy will have to fall back and reset that little battle for position number 5 as they've been going at it for much of this race. There goes Vincent to the upside. It looks like Corey Vincent will try to roll the top and take it away from Ryan Lowe as they now dance for position number 3.
And remember how good the outside was earlier. It's going to be enough to give Vincent the position up to 3rd. Goes to 10. Here comes Luza. Going to follow him through. He will take over 4th. Humpy not going to be able to get this lap, but the Simcraft Chevrolet has the positioning as Luza goes for a crossover past the 7 high. You know, he wants to pass the 10 low. It's going to be difficult, though, to make the inside stick. Can't do it.
No, that inside line has really not seemed to come in at all, especially now that these guys have newer tires. The outside still able to pick up that speed and get the better exit here at Richmond, so they're going to continue to run around this 3/4 mile, almost to going to as high as I've seen Kenny Humpy run as far as lines go. He is almost to the top side lane near the wall, but now he'll dive way late onto the inside, and Ryan Michaeluza, he'd run the high side, but you can just see how much power you can get from staying on that high side on the exit of 4. I think he's actually going to try the outside line on Corey Vincent. Very strange to see these guys really raking it up, but I don't think it is going to last that long. Maybe another 5-10 laps, which will put us into the window about 1 lap, maybe 1 lap 80. With the current windows right now of the tires, I could see them falling off, and I think people are going to have to start dropping their lines once the grip goes away, as it looks like Ryan Michaeluza just takes the nose away from Tyler Hill. That's lap traffic now, and it's going to be very important to get around that number 9 as quickly as possible.
Yeah, the lap traffic slowed down Vincent, and the one nature that he did his due diligence to make sure that it would not cost him time either. It's one way to do it. It worked. Luza, who's going to be able to maintain the number 4 spot, closing in on Vincent. Vincent having to deal with lap traffic, though. The 24 Trey Edson, who currently runs as the first driver, one lap down to 34th position, set to be the lucky dog if we are to see another caution stands in his way. And I was going to say that here we go for the race lead. Alfala was 4/10 back, walked it down to 2. Novak stretched it back to 4. So still no net gain between first and second, but watch the intervals for third and fourth compared to the guys up front to see if those two are making any headway.
As your leaders come up on lap traffic, Ryan Luza trying to take third place away from Corey Vincent. Kenny Humpy also a part of this little battle as they go at it for third, fourth, and fifth. Novak trying to navigate some lap traffic. He'll go low on the 33. He's got the 4 of Hill and the 5 of Conti just ahead of him. He'll clear the 33 and now sets his sights on the 4. Ray Alfala deep to the inside on the 33. And Michael Conti way up on the outside line, waiting for those guys to go. 4 gets a little shot from the leader, and here comes Alfala side by side for the top spot, 3 wide with the lap car.
All the way on the bottom is the 2. The 15 pinches him down, and Novak is going to be able to hang on. He'll shut the door. Trying to get to the inside. Alfala with a bump and run. Side by side for the lead. Lap 171. Novak, a fantastic job of playing defense.
And Ryan Michael Luza as well, taking advantage of Corey Vincent being in the middle with Kenny Humpy now also trying to get involved in this. So action is kicking up all in the top 5 now. And I have a feeling with the action that Novak and Alfala have been doing, it is allowing Luza, Vincent, and Humpy, even though they're fighting each other, to start catching in. Lap times are pretty much all the same throughout all of them. Zach Novak still fighting on the outside with Ray Alfala on the inside. They're so close to the doors as they're closing in on Michael Conti's number 5 Ford. We'll see how does Conti let this lead traffic go through, as he is currently in position number 40. He is the only car 4 laps down, so he's got no horses in the race, so you would expect him at some point to give up the ghost and let these guys roll on through here. But Zach Novak, well, he's staying right behind Ray Alfala now securely in second as the battle between Vincent and Humpy kicks off.
Number 5 machine going to get well out of the way, wanting to be no factor in that. The peak entry of Michael Conti goes to pit road to give way to the guys up front. And what that battle, that very short and very hectic one-lap fight between Novak and Alfala did is it brought these guys into the picture. Loses only 7/10 of a second back. Humpy and Vincent, they battle for 4th and 5th position, but they are now within a second of the race lead. So these guys up front now could become a 5-way battle. For the top spot on the racetrack, Alfala still knocking on the door. Car length and a half between he and the race leader. And if Novak gets caught out on another machine that he's trying to lap down, that 2 will be all over him for it.
The 94 of Phil Diaz is the next one to go 1 lap down. Novak will go to the inside. Ray Alfala will do the same in corner number 4. And as they come up at a corner number 4, they'll be free of Diaz and the lap traffic for at least the time being. Now the battle behind the 1, the 58, the 10. They'll all try to navigate Phil Diaz. Humpy made the move a couple laps ago on Vincent, and here goes Luza down to the inside. Humpy and Vincent waiting for something to happen there to their dance mate up in front. Meanwhile, it continues to be Novak at a corner number 4, and he'll lead them across the stripe. 177 complete.
Soon to be at 20 laps to go. You have to think that this thing is going to break out at any moment. Side-by-side battle for 7th. Bobby Zelensky inside, able to hold off Matt Busa outside. They will remain in 7th and 8th position as they were the last time around. Battle between now the 1 of Luza, the 58 of Humpy outside. Once again, place to be. Luza hangs on to 3rd. Humpy can't catch up from 4th. The inside is wide open, so much to the point where he pulls half a car length of an advantage in the center. But you see just how good Luza is off of the corner on the outside of the racetrack, which is what keeping this a fair fight.
Yeah, lap and lap they go on the inside and the outside. Impressive to see here just how tough Kenny Humpy is hanging on the inside, especially as these laps are taken away. The tires are starting to go through their normal lifespan here. Actually, just looking at the tire stint lengths, well, we've had 32 laps of green flag running. I can tell because, well, we've had 32 laps since they took their tires. There was a couple laps, of course, under pacing, so about 30 laps of green flag running, and I think this is when Kenny Humpy's car starts to come into play because he's just not only secured the position over Ryan Michael Luza, but he had a very quick lap last time by, and he was actually the fastest out of the front 5, so it wouldn't be too surprising here to see Kenny Humpy with that car that was doing oh so well in the late stages of the run come into its own as that number 58 looks to charge to the front.
Humpy is there. He just needs that little bit extra. And if Novak and Alfala get hung up at all behind the 48 of Krizik and the 39 of Johnson, it could be big. The 48 moves high, but doesn't get out of the gas enough to the point where, like we saw with Conti earlier, get to the apron. So the 48 cost the 15 just a smidge of time that time at 4 by him not being able to go all the way to the outside. He'll cost the 2 machine though of Alfala some time. That lap, the 2's not able to swing it wide, and there is Kenny Humpy looking for the opening that he needs. Now more traffic in front of our race leaders. Zach Novak can't find a clear path around the 39 and go to the inside, closing in, 16 to go. And a factor in this one, the lap car of Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson's been giving Novak a run the last couple of laps, lets him finally have the inside line, and Novak will go to the inside and put Michael Johnson 1 lap down. Ray Alfala now trying to reel them in as they continue to go side by side. The lap car of Johnson on the outside, Novak on the inside. Hello, Humpy. Humpy looking to the inside of the 2 of Ray Alfala, maybe a little bump through the middle of 1 and 2. Kenny Humpy is hungry. He wants his 3rd straight win.
Oh, there we go! Contact Novak, he pushed up on the 39, got him out of shape, and here comes Ray Alfala. 3 wide with lap traffic. Can the 2 get the race lead? Yes, sir. Novak, I think, tried to rough up the 39, but he hooked himself on the back. It cost him time, and absolutely no hesitation. Ray Alfala to the race lead with 14 laps to go.
Yeah, I think Zach Novak lost it coming out of 4, and he trying to make up with that. He tried to get a good entry into 1, and once he did, he made door-to-door contact with Johnson, and that sort of spent... Oh, boy. That sent him almost spinning. There we go. That's a little bit of a tongue twister as they're still going at it. Ray Alfala and Kenny Humpy. I have to say that was a massive save from Zach Novak in that number 15. If he managed to spin right there, that probably would have wadded up at least your front 5, perhaps even more. But thankfully, we did not have that, as Michael J. Johnson is still giving these cars trouble, as Ryan Michaeluza and Corey Vincent hasn't even been able to get on by yet. And that is actually starting to pack him up as Ryan Lowe's looking to, well, get by at least 1 lap car. But it's starting to be interesting here, Evan, just how much of a fight these lap cars are playing with these leading cars. You would expect them to, at the very least, stay to the outside or something to that effect, but just not happening here at Richmond with not many laps to go.
Well, we've seen some drivers go high, and then we've also seen some drivers pit just to get out of the way. Johnson's given these guys the inside, but the problem is the inside isn't the surefire preferred lane, and that's why it's difficult to get around him. Traffic's got every right to hold their own up on the outside of the racetrack, but I'm sure the guys up front are not very appreciative of it. Lieutenant Corey Vincent, the next driver to struggle to get by, he runs 5th on the lead lap. Ray Alfala, though, with that beautiful move for the race lead, is not yet in the clear. This time by 10 laps to go from Richmond, but he's got plenty of traffic to get through himself, and Kenny Humpy is right there.
Humpy took a look on the outside of Ray Alfala that time. It seems like the 58, though, gets a better corner entry and is able to roll the center a little bit better than Ray Alfala is. Humpy up on that 2nd lane trying to gain a little bit of time on Alfala. Gets a great run out of 4, looks down to the inside. Alfala goes to the inside, but Humpy is there. Side by side for the lead. They slide down into corner number 1, and there's a lap car of Nick Johnston. The 58 of Humpy trying to use him as a pick. Alfala down to the inside. What a move.
He almost got pinched, and he just found enough space to squeeze between the 90 and the 58. And Ray Alfala somehow going to continue to lead now at 8 laps to go. That little battle, though, has brought another driver into the conversation. Zach Novak now going to put up a fight maybe for 2nd with Humpy. 1, 2, and 3 separated by less than 0.2 of a second. This time by only 7 laps remain.
Yeah, if Novak manages to recover and manage to get the win here, that would be very impressive indeed, to almost go from wrecking to getting the checkered. But he's got 2 very, very good cars in front of him, and one of them, Kenny Humpy, has won the last 2 times we've been here to Richmond, as Tim Terry had stated earlier. But Ray Alfala, of course, your current defending champion, he's got the lead. He obviously wants to keep it a little bit of a nose from Kenny Humpy. He gets way out of it, but he manages to recover as they go to the start-finish line. 5 laps to go as they head into 1 side by side between Novak and Humpy.
But now with the 58 on the inside, can he continue to hold off Zach Novak? If these guys fight for even 2 laps, Ray Alfala's going to check out, and he is going to be gone. Novak can't keep it topside. He will fall back in line to 3rd. And now Kenny Humpy's got to pick up the pieces and keep going with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, the 58 car continues to move. Look at this on the entrance and rolls the center. What a run for Kenny Humpy. He's conserved those tires. He knows he has the long run setup, but now the question is, can he get by the two? And it's a short track, guys. Does the chrome horn come out? Does he use the bumper as they put a lap on the 9 of Tyler Hill? The 58 of Humpy has the speed, but Ray Alfalla has the track position. Humpy up the racetrack a little bit through 1 and 2. They'll go down the back straightaway with a few laps left to go in this race. If Humpy can continue to enter the corner, roll the center, and try to get one of these runs off, he might have something for Ray, but Ray has the track position. Maybe he makes the car a little wide here in the next couple laps.
Ready to go that time by. The 58 is there. He got awfully comfy on the left rear quarter panel a couple laps ago. Didn't decide to make a bump and run. Cammy's right there down the back.
Yeah, we're just about to start the white flag lap. It's going to be Alfalla versus Humpy. No surprises there, but will Zach Novak go very late as they go into the starter stand one more time here at Richmond? It's the two cars up front. We'll see what they do.
58 is all over him, and if these guys up front get together, like you said, Zach Novak going to ride in the wings in the number 3 position, and he may be able to just jump all over this one and try to get something. 58 high in 3 and 4. This time by white flying in the air. 1 lap to go from Richmond. Alfalla, lap traffic on the horizon. He'll protect the inside. The 58's going to have to find something to make up a 2-car length disadvantage. Big run this time into turn 2. How desperate does he get to quarter number 3? To the bumper, he looks. Can he execute? He'll come up about 6 inches short, spinning out of 4 as Ray Alfalla hangs on and wins from Richmond.
Exciting finish to close off that one. Ray Alfalla held off, and it just shows the track position is key at the end of some of these races. It doesn't matter if you're at Richmond or you're at Charlotte, where we go in 2 weeks' time. It's always nice to have that clean air and the track position up in front. Congratulations to Ray Alfalla. And looking down on it, we talk about all these rookies winning these races so far this year. Hard to believe this is Ray Alfalla's first win of the 2017 season.
3-time. After coming into this as the 2016 champion, it took to round number 6, but he is once again a winner at a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, the series' most all-time winning driver, back on top, and tries to give some of the series regulars a little bit more of a taste of victory lane. Now 6 races complete. He's the second winner that's not a rookie to get the job done. 3 rookies, though, have won so far this season, and now just the second repeat competitor in this championship to get the job done. But Ray Alfalla has been in this city. We talked about the championship earlier in tonight's broadcast. Came into tonight 13 points off at the top position, but comfortably in the top 8, which is the objective for these opening 12 races. He's in a fantastic spot, I think, halfway to the chase cutoff.
Yeah, I have to say, it was great racing here at Richmond. The pros of this series, the veterans of this series, seeming to pull to the front today. Not many rookies from the 2016 Pro Series in the top 5 and top 10. Ryan Michaeluza, I see maybe Bobby Zelensky as well, but that is about it. Pretty much nearly all veterans past that, so just goes to show you when you get to these shorter tracks, the experience pays off, and for Ray Alfalla, well, what experience he has there. Amazing defense those last couple of laps here at Richmond.
The 2 continues his celebration. He'll park it right there on the front straightaway as your winner in tonight's Richmond 200. Let's take a look at our Race Spot TV full race results for round number 6. Ray Alfalla gets the win first on 2017. Kenny Humpy spinning it across the line, gave it everything he had and then some to a valiant P2 result. Ryan Luza coming home in 3rd, Corey Vincent 4th, and Ryan Lowe in 5th. We will chat with all of them trackside in just a moment. Bobby Zelensky comes home 6th tonight. Matt Busa with the 7th place result. Taylor Hurst comes home at 8th position. Chris Shearburn in 9th, and another race winner from earlier on this season, Derek Bordeaux, rounds through our top 10. Great race for him after starting way back in 27.
Alan Bowes comes home in position number 11. David Rattler in 12th. Jake Sturgis in 13th. 14th belongs to Logan Clampett. 15th is Andrew Fayash III. Adam Gilliland comes home in 16th after trying some strategy mid-race and some of those green flag pit stops. Nolan Scott comes home just behind him in 17th. Zach Novak, what might have been, comes home in 19th place. Or check that, 18th. Christian Chalner 19th and Ottinger 20th.
And finishing in 21st position was Nick Ottinger, was Brad Davies. Dylan Duvall comes home in 22nd. Jimmy Mullis will finish in 23rd after a good first stint, but slid on back. Brian Blackford will finish in 24th. Marcus Richardson comes home 25th position. Nicholas Johnston comes home in 26th. Michael J. Johnson comes home in 27th. Chandler Kryzak finishes 28th position. Josh Berry 29th, and Cody Bias rounds out your top 30.
Continuing on through drivers one lap down, that goes all the way to 35th position. That's Philip Diaz, Timmy Hill, Joe Littorello, Trey Edson, and Casey Tucker. 2 laps down for 36th position, Tyler Hill. 37th position, Will Cooley. In 38th spot, Brandon Schmidt. Chris Overland comes from 5 laps down in 39th. He's the final driver to be actively on track when the checkered flag flew in this one. You've got 40th Michael Conti, Byron Daly 41st, Brian Schoenberg 42nd, and Mitchell Hunt in 43rd. That's a look top to bottom at our Race Spot TV full race results. We will take one quick opportunity to step aside. When we come back to Richmond, we'll talk with your top finishers, kind of recap the opening 6 races of this season, and let you know what's to come in the next 6 races. We're halfway to the start of the chase, but Ray Alfalla, for the first time in 2017, is a winner at a NASCAR Peak for Series, and we chat with him when we come back.
Introducing a whole new form of racing to the best online racing simulation in the world. This is Dirt Racing on iRacing.com. Race online at some of America's most legendary dirt tracks, including Eldora and Williams Grove. iRacing is the premier online racing game featuring NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, and now World of Outlaws, the leading sanctioning body for dirt racing. iRacing is easy to use and features a centralized ranking system to make sure you have the best experience at any skill level. With a massive inventory of high-precision laser scan tracks and cars with an unmatched dedication to quality and detail, iRacing gives you the most authentic online racing experience available. Thanks to iRacing's dynamic track system, developed specifically for dirt racing, tracks change over the course of a race, just like your favorite dirt track on a Friday or Saturday night. From a slick racing groove all the way up to the cushion, iRacing's dirt tracks deliver non-stop racing action. Partnered with the World of Outlaws, iRacing is your source for the most authentic dirt racing experience available, featuring 4 brand new tracks and 11 new cars, including street stocks, Legends cars, late models, NASCAR trucks, winged and non-winged sprint cars, with much more on the way. Join the Dirt Revolution on iRacing.com and start slinging mud today.
There are 3 different paths if you want to call yourself a world champion of sim racing. NASCAR, open wheels, or endurance racing. But no matter which one you take, you can guarantee that the journey will always be tough, which few will ever complete. The iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premier road racing series in sim racing, started with a new car taking center stage. Then, it was Martin Kroenke resisting any challenge thrown at him to break the 5-year stranglehold of Gregor Hutu as being world champion. These drivers and teams are not just competing for pride, they're competing for money. And with over $20,000 in prizes for each of the series up for grabs, drivers really do put it all on the line.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a three-time Oval World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign.
The Blancpain GT Series hosts the top GT3 endurance teams in sim racing, with groups of 3 or more drivers sharing the wheel. This is a championship you can't win alone, and you need the same determination, passion and drive from your teammates to be successful. They often say that it takes just one mistake to lose a championship, and in team racing, it may not be your mistake that costs you the win. Last season, VRS Coanda Simsport won the championship by a single point. This year, who will step up to the plate?
These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. Catch it all season long with live coverage on iRacing.com/live.
Welcome back live to the Richmond International Raceway for the Race Spot TV post-race show following tonight's Richmond 200. 6 races now complete on the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing, which means that we are halfway to the start of the chase for the championship. Something that we noted earlier on was that this is a niche racetrack. It's a place where there's certain drivers that are good at it and they find success. We noted that Nick Ottinger had won 2 races here, and we noted that Kenny Humpy had also won 2 races here. Well, now you could add Ray Alfalla to that list, adding to the 2011 win. Ray Alfalla is your winner tonight for the Richmond International Raceway, and we are trackside with the driver of the 2. Ray, congratulations for the first win for you guys on 2017. We'll chat about some of the details and the pit strategy in a moment, but first talk us through that late race restart with about 40 or so laps to go and that battle down to the end there with Cumpy and company.
Thanks. Yeah, first, thanks to everybody on Slip Angle. Feels great to get the virtual racing school into victory lane. We had them unofficially in the victory lane at the exhibition race at Daytona, but, this is their first official win. Thanks a lot to everybody on Slip Angle. I know Chris Overland ran a bunch of laps. He had a unfortunate mistake with the fuel there at the end, cost him a good finish. And then, Bobby also does a lot of work. He's improved a lot with the setups, and we didn't really know how fast we were into the race, but we were pretty fast at Phoenix, so we figured it wouldn't be too bad. So, but yeah, that final restart, I was a bit bummed to get that yellow because we were going to be in the lead once the pit stops cycled through, and we had a pretty good car on the long run. I think Kenny was definitely the fastest there at the end, and I know he cut me some slack one time there in 3 and 4. He was a little bit under me, but I couldn't just quite move up. It was racing for the win. If he would have hit me there, it would have been all right. But I know I was protecting my spot. I didn't want to give up the bottom lane. If he would have just passed me on the outside, so be it. But I didn't want to just roll over and then give him the bottom lane. So it feels cool. I haven't won at Richmond back like 6 years ago, and now back in victory lane. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ottinger doubled it up in 13-14. Humpy's got the last two, and you prevented him from getting a third straight, and you get your second win here. What is it about, a place like Richmond that kind of fits into your driving style? You guys were top of the board in the warm-up session. The car qualified good, so you had to expect that it was going to be a good run tonight, especially given your history here.
I don't know. It comes out in the race because in all through the practices, I wasn't as fast as Bobby or Chris, and I think I was able to qualify in the top 5, and they were kind of back there. And then it seems like if you're back in the pack, aero's not such a big thing, but the rubber buildup is kind of is our aero push, if you will. Like the leader seems to have a really nice advantage. With the way the rubber and the cooling of the track works, it seems like the leader has a nice grip advantage over everybody else. And then, that's why you see the front end, the front of the top 5 are all very separated from the rest of the pack. So I know Chris was really fast, but he was mired back there in traffic, and on a short track it's almost impossible to pass. Bobby ran up there, but if you fall out of the top 5 or top 10, it's just so difficult to pass even. And ironically, with the dynamic track, it kind of makes passing harder because you go under somebody and they're able to hold you off on the high side, or and if they're running high, it's almost impossible to pass them on the high side. So it's the pros and cons of having multiple grooves. But obviously I wasn't that fast in testing, but I was able to start up front and just kind of run a clean race.
Well, those multiple grooves also led to a lot of good action that we were able to keep it on tonight. How much of this, though, kind of came down to strategy? Obviously, starting top 5 helped you guys out to be a part of the conversation, but on the 2 cycles of pit service where we had guys staying out, and then evidently, as you were about, I think you were 3rd or 4th at the time, waiting to cycle through to the race lead when that caution came out the end. But your pit stop, short pitting at about lap 130 or so, was kind of setting you up for that. How much did those pit stops help you get into that position where, at least when the caution flag came out, although it wasn't what you wanted to, you were kind of cycled through ahead of everybody else on the same call as you were, which kind of put you ahead of them maybe for that little last run to the end?
Yeah, I'm normally not the one that likes short pitting because it always seems like I pit and then the caution comes out, and we did have a yellow, but enough people had pitted to where it didn't affect me. But last year I was actually racing Kenny for the lead, just like tonight, and he short pitted and he came out ahead of me out of pit road, and he just pulled away after that. So I figured, I'm just going to try and pit before these guys, so then they'll have to pass me afterwards. But it's a big risk, of course. Caution comes out immediately, then you're a lap down. So, it's kind of a risk I took there, and it worked out well enough.
I'm not sure if the chase makes things easier or puts a little bit less pressure on you in these opening 12 races, but I want to ask you about that because we're halfway to the point where we're going to cut things down to 8 drivers, and then for the first time we'll see how a chase works in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. 1 year ago, after 12 races, there were probably realistically not 8 drivers in contention. That number, with about 4 weeks to go, probably whittled down to 3 or 4. So, in a way, despite the fact that after these first 12 races, the final 4 are going to be insane, these first 12 races, you just have to get top 8. And maybe that takes a little bit pressure off your shoulders. I know that you guys got the unofficial win at Daytona. You would have liked that. It took you 6 weeks to get the actual first official win on the season. But you guys were right smack dab in the middle of, those top 8 coming into tonight, 4th in the points, only 13 points off the top spot. So, does the way that the qualification works this season take that little bit of a load off, and that if you can't come through and get the job done outright, that, for you guys specifically, having the best average start out of anybody in the series into tonight, the second best average finish of a P7 is more than enough to do what you needed to do in these opening couple of weeks?
Yeah, but first, Evan, it's the playoff, man. It's not called chase anymore. But
fair point. We'll note.
No, but yeah, I kind of remind everybody that just because it's just kind of an ongoing joke among everybody on Slip Angle. But yeah, I think it makes it. If you're able to run in the top 10, it makes it not as stressful. Then again, last season was basically a playoff from the start to the end, the PJ and I. So, after last season, nothing will compare. Even the final race this year with 4 drivers going for the championship, if I'm in those 4, it still won't even be as stressful as last year, because last year we were dealing with that the whole year. So, you know, with that being said, yeah, it allows us, or allows, like, I'm in a position where I kind of can relax a little bit and then just kind of click off pretty good races and focus on those final 4 races and focus on the 3 races and then the final round. So yeah, you know, the goal is just to make it to Homestead at this point, and that's pretty much what everybody's goal is. But that's kind of what I'm focusing on, and you know, the pressure is going to build up as the season ends, and especially in the final 4 races.
The win does not lock you into the playoff. However, it gets you max points, and that does more than the trick to keep you guys inside of the top 8. Ray, a good night for you and the team. The sponsors, the shout-outs, you know the deal. Who makes it happen?
Yeah, Virtual Racing School. Check them out. You know, I do coaching on there, so does Brian Blackford, and they also do coaching from World Championship drivers on the roadside. If you guys want to visit their Facebook page or their website, and of course, you know, thank Turkey for all the adjustments, Sal for calling the traffic around me, and Liam Brotherton for calling lap times. He's a big help, and you know, everybody on Slip Angle Motorsports. Thanks again, and you know, good racing to everybody up front, and you know, I'll probably have to pay Kenny back at some point by just rolling over in some random race. So yeah, we'll see you guys at Charlotte.
It's good enough to get the win tonight. Ray Alfalla, your winner from Richmond. Ray, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us. Best of luck going forward. 6 races to go before the playoffs. Hopefully we'll chat soon.
Yep, see you guys.
And coming home on the opposite end of that, Mr. Kenny Hoppy, who came into tonight as a back-to-back winner at Richmond. Oh, so close for going for the 3-peat, split it out at the line, trying to give it everything he had, but a P2, still a good result for the driver of the number 58, and trackside with him is Cam.
Yeah, I'm here with Kenny Humpy. Kenny, you came across the start-finish line sideways, but so they can't say it was for a lack of effort. That last battle with Ray Alfalla was absolutely amazing. But before then, this is a real interesting race. Early caution, quite a couple of green flag stints after that, and then that final showdown stint there. Take me through it.
Yeah, it was a pretty up-and-down race. We fired off really good. I mean, we didn't have the 10-lap run speed that Ray and like Novak and those guys had, but after about 20 laps, our car really came alive, and I can't thank everybody on the team enough. Justin Bolton and Cody Bias, they did a heck of a job building this setup, man. It was on rails, like I said, after 20 laps. I didn't think there was anybody that could really touch us at that point, and I made a mistake the first pit stop. Didn't put it in gear before I tried to leave, and that cost us a few seconds, but a bunch of things happened that kind of cost us a little bit of time there, and the race down there at the end with Ray was awesome. Just couldn't find my way by. I kept trying every little thing, and he was doing a good job of, being defensive, and he did everything he could do, and, it was fun racing him, but, we just couldn't get the pass done, and I tried about every trick in the book to try to make it without hitting him. I think that's pretty much all I could have done at that point, but I don't like to race that way, so, we'll take P2 here tonight and move on to Charlotte.
Yeah, and you finished 30th in Phoenix, so apparently when you take a quarter mile off, you can really improve in 28 positions, hopefully 29th, but just not today. But what really seemed to kick that battle off, though, was a bit of lap traffic issues. Really, once that lap traffic issue started coming around, Zach Novak, he was, of course, leading at that time. He ended up almost wrecking, but really you guys were able to push through that, and once you guys cleared up the lap traffic, it was all right, but not many instances on the schedule here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series where you really run into lap traffic like that. How did you guys really just make it happen?
Yeah, there was a lot of circumstances that went into that. We usually don't even see it here too often, but I think that caution came out after about everybody just made their pit stops there, their last pit stops, and that last yellow came out, so a lot of people took the wave around. So they were still on old tires. That's why we were able to catch up to that traffic so much, because even here we usually don't catch traffic like that. But their tires were so old that they were kind of doing a good job of holding their line, and where to go. And our tires were so much fresher that they really didn't make an impact, I don't think. I know Novak kind of got, I don't know what happened there on the backstretch. He looked like he got really loose getting into 3 after he made some contact. But I didn't think the lappers were too bad.
Yeah, we're going to be heading to Charlotte next. Pretty much probably going from having all that lap traffic to basically none at all at the mile and a half at Charlotte. Looking to be excited. Hopefully they have a good green flag car there too.
Yeah, hopefully. We were able to win that race last year. So hopefully, like I said, Cody Bison, Justin Bolton, we can get this Simcraft Chevy up towards the front once again. I mean, I'm pretty excited about it, especially after tonight. I feel like we've had good speed the entire year. I know Phoenix, I made a mistake there and just got us behind on pit strategy, really, and we were kind of in the back and got caught up in a wreck. But, I think we've had the speed to win races, but we just haven't been able to close the deal yet. And, I just really want to get a win for the Simcraft guys and everybody on the team that put so much work into this deal. And, hopefully we can put a whole race together and try to get that win next week at Charlotte.
Kenny Humpy, thanks so much for hopping into the booth with us. We'll see you in a couple of weeks then.
Yeah, we'll see you. Thank you, guys.
So that's Kenny Humpy, the number 58 Chevrolet, and now we're going to go to one of the hot feet of the series right now, a 2016 Pro driver that's now making a splash in the Peak Antifreeze series. It's Ryan Michaeluza, that number 1 car, and he is going to be standing by with Tim Terry.
Ryan Luza coming home in position number 3. We meet again. Let's talk about a night at Richmond, because it seemed fairly exciting, especially from your seat, where you started 13th and you had to work your way up through all those pit stops to come home in 3rd.
It was pretty crazy. I was hoping for something to happen there at the end. They were getting pretty racy, but once again another top 3 finish. Just try to keep staying consistent. Top 5s will get it done.
Mentioned it a couple of times throughout the race that you and Kenny Humpy, it seemed like there was a magnet on you two, especially in the middle portion of the race. You guys had a lot of laps side by side and battling it out for the spot.
I was trying to let him go because he pitted like 6 laps later, which is the only reason I got in front of him. And I didn't really want to go low because I was going to lose a lot of time because the top was really fast for me at that point. And his car was really fast on the top, and he just couldn't make it work on the bottom. So we ended up racing side by side there for a long time. He was actually a lot faster. He was really the fastest car tonight. But just he couldn't get by me. He was so loose off the corner, which I think is why he was so fast through the corner. But it was just a lot of fun racing. I really enjoyed the dynamic track once again. iRacing has done a great job with that. We can run basically everywhere on the track and be within a tenth of each other, so it's definitely a ton of fun.
With the way these Richmond races play out, we've seen green flag races from start to finish. We've seen a couple of races where we've had a lot of cautions. Did you expect the long green flag run towards the end of that race, or did you expect a couple more cautions like we've seen in some of these races earlier in the season?
It's hard to not expect the caution. Like, you know it's gonna come out. You just don't know when. So it's hard to stay out and lose a bunch of spots later, or pit early, take the risk, and then have the lead. So it's definitely just a roll of the dice, really. The 2-stop was definitely faster if it stayed green, but the caution ended up flying anyways, and the guys who were committed to the 1-stop ended up having the track position, which made it harder to get back up there. But I think everybody who was planning on the 2-stop ended up, finishing 1-2. So definitely crazy. It's hard to, the pit stops and cautions take a huge effect on the race every single time.
It seems like the last couple of weeks, the point standings have been changing going in to what will be the chase after round 12. The one thing that seems to remain fairly constant is you're up front, and you continue to be up front after round number 6. So for Richmond, with being a short track, not really a bad outcome being still on top of the points.
Yeah, for sure. Just basically try to qualify up front. Every race, stay out of trouble, keep the track position. If we keep doing that every week, we're going to have, top 10, top 5 speed. So just, providing nothing else crazy starts happening to us and we have a really bad streak of luck, I think we're going to find ourselves here in the top 8, which is definitely the main goal right now.
Charlotte, 2 weeks. Are you ready for the longest race of the season?
Not really. Richmond seemed pretty long. I was sweating my butt off, but we'll prepare and do what we can. I say Richmond is probably the least effort we've put in and still came out with 3rd, so looking forward to trying to come back and see victory lane in 2 weeks.
Who's on the team and who makes it happen for you each week?
Really got to thank Dustin Langert. He did all the setup work this week. I wasn't really around, so thanks to him, Derek Bordeaux, Alan Bowes, everybody on SimWorks and Dead Zone. And big thanks to Racer Boost Graphic Solutions for staying on board with me. You need websites, hero cards, anything like that, they're your man. Thanks to the Drill Spill as well, and Fast Track Sims for coming on board. Any sim equipment you need, triple monitor stands, full rigs, dirt custom rigs with all the new dirt stuff coming out. It's really cool.
So there's Ryan Luza coming home with another top 3 finishing in position number 3. We're going to kick it over to Cam, who has caught up with our 4th place finisher. It's another top 5 run for Corey Vincent in the 10.
Yes, the number 10 Chevrolet SS. You started in 3rd, finished in 4th, just 1.7 seconds behind that great battle out front. Corey, it was back and forth pretty much all day here at Richmond. A lot of lap traffic, a couple of cautions, and a really exciting race. Take me through it.
Yeah, pretty exciting race. A pretty good race for us. We started up front, had good track position. Car was really good to start off with. We were able to get the lead and lead a couple laps, so it was looking good for us. And then we kind of got behind on pit stops. Kind of just lost some track position there, and lost a handle on the car a little bit at the end. But yeah, a lot of fun racing, a lot of good, hard, clean racing. Definitely just happy to get a top 5. I haven't had a good run. I've had a good finish all season, so to come out of here with a 4th place to just it's like a win, really. Definitely want to thank Herculana and Peak for coming on board with us this season. Finally able to get them a good finish, so I'm happy about that. And also want to thank my team, all the guys at Overclock Motorsports that helped me out. I mean, the car was really strong tonight, just really solid. So definitely thanks to those guys, and yeah, just happy with a top 5.
Absolutely, first top 5 of the season. Finished 8th at Phoenix, but we're going away from the short track, so we're going to be heading to Charlotte in 2 weeks. You guys going to be ready for that?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to Charlotte. That's definitely one of my better tracks. Usually run pretty good at the mile and a half, so I'm sure the guys will go to work and we'll bring a pretty strong car there.
Yeah, and towards the very end of that race, we probably had, with maybe 20 to go, you guys were hitting some lap traffic. They were all sorts of fighting with each other. Not only did you have a great view of the Alfala Humpy battle going on, but you guys had to really kind of hustle your way through some of this lap traffic. You won't be dealing with that at Charlotte, but here at Richmond, how did you manage to really work your way around those guys?
Yeah, it was pretty tough at times to work around that lap traffic, but it was fun. It was all clean. There at the end, had a pretty fun battle with Ryan and Ryan Lowe there. And yeah, I've seen the battle, Ray and Humpy. That was pretty solid. Congrats to Ray on the win. And yeah, just a lot of good hard racing there.
Now, hopefully we can continue that in a couple of weeks at Charlotte. Thanks very much for hopping in the booth with us. Anyone else you'd like to give a quick shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just again, Herculana, Pete, for being on the car, and all the guys at Overclock Motorsports. I definitely appreciate every one of those guys. And yeah, looking forward to Charlotte.
Corey, thank you very much for coming to the booth and talking with us. Hopefully we'll get to talk again soon, and best of luck at Charlotte.
Thank you.
So that's Corey Vincent, the number 10 Chevrolet SS, and just one position behind, it's going to be Ryan Lowe rounding up your top 5, and he is going to be with Tim Terry.
Ryan Lowe coming home with another top 5 here at Richmond. And Ryan, let's talk about the pit strategy. 50 or so laps to go. Caution comes out. You find yourself at the front of the field. What was going through your mind on that strategy?
We after coming out of 4, and I ended up losing it. I lost all my track position, really, so we ended up just staying out and hoping for the yellow, and we ended up getting in. That got us the track position back, and we were able to keep up front and luckily get the top 5.
Talk about the scramble there at the end, because I know there were some lap cars in the way. You had Bobby Zielinski on your back bumper. You had Ryan Luza and Corey Vincent just ahead of you. Talk about that scramble at the end, trying to pick up a couple spots near the end.
Yeah, that was interesting, but at the end of the day, I knew I couldn't really pass Vincent on the bottom. I just never really got a run on the top to get up outside of him, so we just, from the team from 3rd on to 6th, we just kind of rode near the line and just let the front guys battle.
Now, looking back a couple of years ago, in 2015, I believe it was, you got a top 5 here at Richmond. That was one of the breakout races for you in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. What is it that you like about this Richmond International Raceway that makes you go so fast?
Honestly, it's like a home track for me, and I've seen a bunch of races here in real life, so I don't know if that gives you an edge, but it's one of my favorite tracks on here, and I love driving it.
So this season, quietly going about your business, and you're currently a couple of spots out of chase contention, currently sitting in position number 12. There's 6 races to go before that cutoff. Is that the ultimate goal, to try to get in the chase and try to vie for the championship, or what do you have to do to gain those 4 positions and get in that prestigious top 8?
Honestly, I never really expected to be in this position. My only goal is to keep the peak license, because usually I'm back in 30th in points off of just wrecks every week, so it's just to keep finishing races, get the finishes, get the points, and see where it ends up by then. So that's really all I'm shooting for at this point.
We go to Charlotte in 2 weeks, the longest race of the season. What do you expect? What would you be happy with an outcome at Charlotte?
Not finishing wise, but if I'm talking setups here, I want a car that can just ride up against the wall and I'm comfortable all race. Because if I can do that, I'm pretty sure I can get a top 20 and have a happy day.
Now, who do you got on this race car? Who helps you week in and week out? Who makes it happen for Ryan Lowe?
Thanks to Lance, Houston, and John Dragonetti. They're big help, and Dustin Linger for building this set. It was a rocket ship on the long run.
There's Ryan Lowe coming home in position number 5, moves him up to 12th place in the point standings after 6 races, halfway towards the chase or the playoffs for this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And Evan, great race here tonight at Richmond. Very exciting, especially at the end with that battle between the top 2. You had those guys outside the top 3 going at it. A couple of lap cars mixed in there, some pit strategy. Overall, pretty exciting race at Richmond. A typical short track race, gives a little bit of excitement. And then in 2 weeks' time, we head to one of the longest races, the longest race when it comes to laps and mileage on the season, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Can't wait for that one. That usually provides a little bit of action, and we're halfway towards that chase. Some guys have to start making their moves now if they want to be in championship contention for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Right, I don't think that we can continue to use the excuse that it is still early in the season, which to an extent is true, but we are starting to get a picture of the names that are lingering around in the top 8, the names that are kind of found themselves lingering around just outside the top 8, from maybe 9th through 12th and so on. So those are the drivers that are going to have to pick it up over the next 6 weeks, because we are halfway to the start of that playoff. And Cam, kind of guilty I think we are of hoping that races like this get a little bit of excitement at the end. The strategy was fantastic. This race ended up with only a small number of caution flags, and I think it was good at the end to see that the guys who would have been on track to battle for the race win, regardless of the caution, ended up being able to fight it out at the end. But what a battle at the end there. Alfala getting the lead with about 10 laps to go. Humpy spinning across the line trying to get to him. It was quintessential short track. We did 200 laps tonight, but the 200 laps we do in 2 weeks' time going to be completely different.
Very much indeed, and not many of those laps under caution, just as you were saying. So we're going from one discipline to the next at Charlotte. We're going back to the 1.5 miles, and after that, we're going to be going to Pocono, so that is going to be exciting. Going to the Tricky Triangle, and then one of my favorites on the schedule, June 27th, we're going to be going to Sonoma for our one chip to road racing. So while we've got I don't want to say an easy day. Charlotte is never an easy day. But you're going to have a 1.5 miles, something that most of these drivers are going to be extremely acclimated to. And then you've got those 2 very fun races at Pocono and Sonoma.
The way the points look outside of tonight, Ryan Lewis is still on top, but a big boost for Ray Alfala, now within 7 points of Luza at the top. Bobby Zelensky, Logan Clampett, Derek Bordeaux, Zach Novak, Marcus Richardson, and Corey Vincent as of now are the 8 drivers that sit to advance to the first ever NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series playoff. With that being said, tonight draws to a close and Richmond falls into our rear view mirror. 6 down and 6 to go before the playoffs get kicked off. As always, we'd like to thank you for watching this special presentation of RaceSpot TV, streaming live on iRacing Live and the Motor Racing Network. You can find out more information about iRacing's World Championship Series online at wcs.iracing.com. On behalf of our entire Tuesday night team, East Van Ballo on the cameras, broadcast CG by Simon Grossman and Kevin Papey and their team, graphics by Andy Werner, of course, Will Vincent, Hugo Louise, and the entire team at RaceSpot TV, who who anchors our coverage of all 3 of iRacing's World Championship Series, and for the team topside tonight. For Cam Walsh, Tim Terry, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for joining us and congratulate Ray Alfalla on his first win of 2017. We'll go from 200 laps in 150 miles to 200 laps in 300 miles in 2 weeks' time for the longest race of the season at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing can be found right here on Race Spot TV. We'll see you next time.